guard Matisse Thybulle in Portland, that from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, who also says the team will try to be patient to get the best return on a Damian Lillard trade.
Their initial reaction is, we're not going to just trade Damian Lillard to Miami because he wants to go there if there is not a deal that we see that makes sense for him.
Woj on NBA Today. Astros second baseman Jose Altuve goes on the 10-day IL today with a left oblique injury. First baseball final of the day, the Tigers playing at home hammer the A's 9-0. 4 Detroit pitchers combined on a 4-hit shutout. Two-time Stanley Cup champ Patrick Hornqvist retires after 15 years in the league. He played for the Panthers last season until it was cut short by 2 concussions. 2022 Tour de France champion Jonas Vingegaard takes the yellow jersey in this year's tour. Two-time champ Tadej Pogacar wins today's Stage 6 and is now second overall.
I'm Freddie Coleman, and coming up on Friday, with all of the hype around Victor Wembanyama, are we sure that he's going to be able to live up to said hype? We'll discuss that and more at 6 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Man, we got a ton to do today, and actually a lot of football. We'll talk to Brad Crawford of 247 Sports in about 15 minutes. He rated the best position groups in all of college football, and this isn't just like top 10 offensive linemen, top 10 quarterbacks, like top 10 position groups across all of college football. I don't really care so much about the list as much as I do why he included one of LSU's position groups on there. We'll get to that in about 15 minutes from right now. Big 12 expansion could be coming. Their media days are next week. Our buddy Ari Temken will be with us in hour number 2 from SiriusXM Big 12 Radio. Nate Ackenhausen will be here in hour number 3. We'll see what LSU's big lefty has planned for the draft coming up this weekend and his plans potentially for next year. So a lot to do here over the next 3 hours, and glad you're hanging out and aboard with us. So today, Dylan Cruz. Yes, thank you very much. Please, let's start where we always do.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
So this weekend, Dylan Cruz's bank account will become far more crowded. Today, his trophy case did just that. Dylan Cruz was named by the SEC as the Male Athlete of the Year for the league. And this is no small feat. He joined, by the way, Trinity Thomas, the incredible Florida gymnast, as the Female Athlete of the Year, as voted on by the league's athletic directors and Commissioner Greg Sankey. This is not a baseball award. This is an all-sports award. Literally the best male athlete in the Southeastern Conference for this past academic year. For context, in the history of LSU athletics, they've been playing sports out at LSU since 1893. The Southeastern Conference has been in existence for more than 90 years now, 91, going on 91 years now. In the history of this league, here are the LSU, the list of recipients for the LSU, for the SEC Athlete of the Year. Male or female. Here's the list. Joe Burrow, Susan Jackson, Xavier Carter for track and field, not for kneeling at the 1-yard line against Georgia in 2004. Simone Augustus, Walter Davis, Shaquille O'Neal. That's it. That's your list. 6 people. And now 7 with Dylan Cruz. And Burrow, Xavier Carter, Walter Davis, Shaq are the only other men. Now Cruz, only the 5th male ever. Any sport ever to be named SEC Male Athlete of the Year. When Joe Burrow finished his career at LSU, I and many of you all sat here and said the exact same thing. The 5-year waiting period to have his jersey retired and the statue and the Hall of Fame and all that sort of stuff, it's absurd. It should be waived. We all know that it is an absolute certainty. It's an honor that should be bestowed upon him. And instantly we knew we were watching the greatest football player ever at LSU. Every box that you could possibly check, he checked. He won the Heisman Trophy. He won the national championship. He won all the National Player of the Year awards. They went undefeated. It was basically forever, as long as I was alive, every conversation about the greatest LSU football player ever started with Billy Cannon. Like, you couldn't have that conversation without starting with Billy Cannon. Hey, who's Billy Cannon? You don't have to finish getting the question out of your mouth. The best, Billy Cannon. Just Billy Cannon. Halloween run, national championship. Oh, look out. There he goes. Billy Cannon. You've heard the song? My name's Jay Chevalier. I mean, we've all heard it. Grew up listening to it. We all did. And then Joe Burrow came along and we knew, the baton has been passed. And it's no disrespect to the past. It's just understanding that in order to recognize greatness as the greatest, there is a unanimous feeling about it. I give this example all the time for people who have the LeBron conversation. The only way LeBron is greater than Jordan is if there is a unanimous feeling. Like when Jordan finished his career, it was unanimous. There was nobody making an argument for literally anybody else. Jordan was the greatest. There is no unanimous argument for LeBron, so he's not it. Golf. Jack Nicklaus, forever greatest, right? We all knew it. 16 majors, we knew it. Tiger Woods beat him. He's not going to break his majors record, but we all know Tiger Woods is the greatest golfer that's ever walked the face of the earth. That's Joe Burrow in LSU football. And now that's Dylan Cruz in LSU baseball. There are no other boxes to check, and there is no other conversation to be had. And he'll add another chapter into that lore this weekend with the draft, when he's either the first or second pick of the draft, how it's going to go. But Dylan Cruz came here with all of the expectation and was a 3-year starter. And in his final season in Baton Rouge, all he did was lead the SEC in batting average at .426, second best season in LSU history behind only Ray Frimes, who had .431. He led the SEC in batting average, on-base percentage, runs, hits, walks, and increased his on-base streak to 75 consecutive games, including all 71 games this year. Do you have any idea how hard that is to do? To get on base in literally every damn game you play? That's him. He's only the second Golden Spikes Award winner in the history of LSU baseball, joining only Ben McDonald. So he's the only position player to win the Golden Spikes. As I just stated, he's one of only 5 men ever to win SEC Male Athlete of the Year. He is a unanimous and consensus All-American. He's a national champion. And now he is about to be either the first or second pick of the draft. There's no other boxes to check. Dylan Cruz is the greatest baseball player that's ever come through LSU. There's not an argument to be made for anyone else. And fair or unfair, listen, and that's not to say there weren't other greats. And I will tell you that for me, in my lifetime, that conversation has always begun with Todd Walker. Todd Walker was just not only a great player, but the coolest guy in the world as a kid. His 12 is retired, along with Eddie Furness, the only position players at LSU to have their numbers retired, along, of course, with Ben McDonald and Skip Bertman. But you're talking about an elite defender at a premium position, a guy that hits for average and power, is a five-tool guy. He is what Bregman was when he came through here, with more power, obviously at a premium position, and check the final box of winning the national championship, winning the Golden Spikes Award, winning SEC Male Athlete of the Year, all of those things. There is no conversation to be had. And in the same way that it's absurd that Joe Burrow's 9 isn't already retired, and I don't mean retire the jersey like LSU does. I mean retire the number. Nobody in the history of LSU football ever again should wear number 9 ever. I get it. You keep retiring numbers, you're going to run out of numbers. I get it. Don't need to do that for everybody. All the people that have been honored, it's just. Billy Cannon's 20, Joe Burrow's 9 should never be worn again. And as far as I'm concerned, you can go ahead and waive the damn 5-year waiting period and retire number 3 right now and never let anyone wear it ever, ever again for LSU baseball. Because for all time, that is going to be reserved for the greatest college baseball player ever to come through LSU until the next one comes and surpasses him. But to do that, you are going to have to climb a very steep mountain. Just like it took 34 years for LSU to have a second Golden Spikes Award winner. It took 34 years for Paul Skeens to break Ben McDonald's SEC strikeout record. We're going to be waiting a long time, y'all, before we see another one of him. Which is why, go ahead and waive the 5-year period. Get all the graphics done. Plan the ceremony. Whatever you got to do. 3's got to be retired and needs to be done now. Dylan Cruz, SEC Male Athlete of the Year. All right, it's after further review. We hope we see a lot of that in football this season as well. Of course, our Opens Every Day are brought to you by Bud Light. Not too late. It's not too late, y'all. You'll still see them out there. You'll see the camo aluminum bottles. Pick them up at your favorite retailer. Bud Light and Budweiser, every purchase, they donate funds to Folds of Honor. What an incredible organization. We've told you plenty about Folds of Honor. We've done fundraisers for Folds of Honor here at Guarantee over the years. And it's very cool that Anheuser-Busch was an inaugural partner of Folds of Honor. 13 years, they've raised $21 million for Folds of Honor, funding scholarships for the children of our fallen war heroes, our fallen brave men and women. What an incredible organization, a great thing to be a part of. Bud Light, drink easy in Louisiana. All right, let me knock out a quick break, y'all. Brad Crawford, 247 Sports, joins us next. He lauds one LSU position group. We'll tell you which group and why when we talk to Brad Crawford at 247 next.
AFR.
All right, y'all, our crews over at Hudco Roofing are already on the ground and getting to work over in West Baton Rouge. A couple weeks ago, there was that incredible hailstorm, worst hailstorm in 25 years. We're already re-roofing. Just finished a job yesterday, another one today in West Baton Rouge. So if you live in West Baton Rouge Parish and you've already had your insurance adjuster out, you've got your scope of work, paperwork, maybe you've already gotten your check from your insurance adjuster, we're ready. We have shingles. By the way, CertainTeed shingles manufactured in their Shreveport, Louisiana plant. So made in Louisiana, supporting Louisiana jobs. We've got Louisiana crews. We've been in business in Louisiana for more than 20 years. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's us. That's Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Ignore the pop-up roofing companies, the out-of-state roofing companies, because here's the question. Are they going to be here in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Hudco will. You know where to find me, Matt at HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. That's Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home, live Baton Rouge. Operator, what you put me on through? Gotta send my love down to
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch. After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Crazy. Next week, Big 12 Media Days. Week after that, we'll be in Nashville for SEC football Media Days, and excited about it. We'll see this guy there, Brad Crawford from 247 Sports, is good enough to join us for a couple of minutes now. How are you, man?
Thanks for having me, man. I'm looking forward to the unofficial start of the season next week in Nashville.
So I know that the Big 12 is trying to just leapfrog everybody to get started a year early, or a week early. Are we just going to ignore the Big 12 and just denote that SEC Media Days is actually the start of it?
Hey, we know the SEC and the Big Ten is going to make up the college football playoffs this season more than likely, unless Texas makes a monumental move. So yeah, I would say that the 4-day event in the Music City is the unofficial start of the season.
Well, I'm sure a lot of the guys that you have on featured in your piece today we'll see when we get the list of everyone who will be in attendance. But Brett, I don't necessarily gravitate toward preseason lists, but what you did today, I found really fascinating because it was different than just saying, hey, let's rank the top 10 receiving groups in the country and the top 10 quarterback groups in the country. It was, for lack of a better phrase, here are the overall best position groups in all of college football at any position. Let's start with here. What was sort of the genesis of the idea of putting this together?
Yeah, just a complete power ranking of really the dozen individual position groups among, top 25, top 30 teams that I think have NFL guys at those positions and will respectfully win well and do well for their respective programs this season. And to me, I want to differentiate between, top 10 running back groups. You see the same 10 teams amongst, dozens of sites this summer. And just want to kind of dig in a little bit deeper and talk to some of our team site experts and get their analysis.
Well, some were obvious. Like I assumed we were going to see USC's quarterbacks, right? So we did. You had them second on the list. But here, of course, the intrigue is LSU. And you had one LSU position group listed, and it was linebacker at number 9. Why did you feature LSU's linebackers?
Harold Perkins is the best defensive player in college football who's coming back. Only a sophomore, former 5-star, obviously with more snaps late in the year last year. Had a Will Anderson type impact in my opinion. Just the Arkansas game, man. It was like a LeVar Arrington type performance. He dominated that game from start to finish at a position that's tough sometimes to do that. I think he's going to be the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, getting Omar Speights from Oregon State, who was one of the best defensive players on his side of the ball in the Pac-12, that gives LSU two quality All-American caliber linebackers, and I think Perkins is going to go a long way. The biggest surprise in this list for me was I could not find a position group at Alabama that I considered in the elite tier, meaning one or two, against others in the country. Maybe Alabama's defensive line, but it was really tough. And I think LSU's quarterback room also deserves warrants mention here.
Hey, by the way, quit looking at my notes, man, because I was going to ask you about Bama. I've had this conversation a lot, and so much so that my audience is probably sick of me saying it, although they probably revel in it. But this is the first time since Nick's been at Alabama where I look and I go, I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt. You have to prove it to me. What did you see when you were looking at Alabama that maybe gave you pause?
Yeah, the quarterback room at Alabama right now. I'm coming out with my preseason SEC quarterback list next week. Ahead of media days, and I mean we're talking about a group that's probably in the mid to bottom tier of the conference. And when have we ever been able to say that in Tuscaloosa under Nick Saban? During this decade plus illustrious tenure. The back end of the defense, while it has Kool-Aid McKinstry, probably a first-round pick, I mean, that secondary led college football in penalties last season. So you can't put that position group in an elite, preseason ranking heading into the next year when a lot of those same guys are back. Losing Will Anderson, I know Dallas Turner's an excellent edge rusher. He has Harold Perkins type ability. But outside of him, there's not, a all-SEC guy that I see. So Alabama's running back group, to me, is going to be its strongest position group. But that's projecting. So I didn't want to go with that in a top 12 listing when, their best player is probably a 5-star true freshman.
Brad Crawford's with us from 247 Sports on Twitter at BCrawford247. You mentioned that you like LSU's quarterback group, and you didn't just mean in the SEC. You meant nationally. What do you like about LSU's room?
Yeah, I think LSU's quarterback room is right up there with USC and Texas as far as the best in the country. I think Garrett Nussmeier, somehow Brian Kelly was able to keep him out of the portal from transferring. I know for a fact, man, there were several schools that tampered and had NIL deals ready for Garrett Nussmeier based on what we saw from him last season. Very good quarterback, played well in the spring game. Jaden Daniels is obviously QB1, but I think if anything happens to Daniels during the season, or maybe he sputters in September, LSU has a viable elite backup, and there's not many teams in terms of the playoff conversation who can say that. So Jaden Daniels is a guy who, when the play breaks down, he can make first downs with his feet. Not a lot of pass-first quarterbacks can do that, and like I said, Garrett Nussmeier gives them a more than serviceable backup. So, two players, despite losing Walker Howard out of that room this offseason, I think LSU's quarterback room is one of the best in the SEC and college football.
By the way, where would you, maybe a little bit of a teaser, where would you put LSU in the SEC? You said you're going to release that ranking next week. Where would you put them?
As far as quarterback rooms
Yes.
or overall?
Just quarterbacks.
Oh, I'd put LSU 1. I've got KJ Jefferson as my top returning quarterback. But quarterback room, in terms of depth, I think it's LSU. Jaden Daniels is going to have a really big year, and if he does not, I think Garrett Nussmeier can also lead this Tigers team back to Atlanta against, a team everybody's picking to go 12-0 based on that schedule, Georgia.
Brad, you mentioned Daniels, you mentioned Omar Speights, obviously a couple of transfers. When you were compiling your research, have you drawn any conclusions about the transfer portal and the impact that it's having? Because, look, we're 2 years in, and we're 2 years into NIL, a little bit more in the portal, but we're still learning about without a large enough sample size to know exactly what it's going to mean over a 4-year cycle or longer with the portal.
Yeah, I think you're seeing some teams, Matt, that they're trying to catch lightning in a bottle and make the Final Four, win a national title on a year-to-year basis. We see Lane Kiffin doing that. We've seen Deion Sanders completely change his entire roster ahead of his first season. Even an elite coach like Brian Kelly, just one season into his tenure in Baton Rouge, he's added several transfers that are going to make an impact in important positions. Brian Kelly said last week that he doesn't consider this year's team national title caliber. He considers that to happen in year 3. And I don't think he believes that. I think he knows the quarterback room is elite. He knows he has the best defensive player in college football. The offensive line is going to be really good. And I think that was maybe some rat poison and bulletin board material for his own team for a little motivational tactic.
Interesting. We talked about it here, and I wondered how sincere Kelly was being with those comments, and if he believes that, and maybe, Brad, I opine that maybe it's one of those things where a guy that's coached for better part for 3 decades, that's in his mind how long it's going to take, but hasn't really fully grasped just how quickly he can accelerate this thing because of the portal, even though he did it a year ago in year one in year 1 at LSU.
Yeah, and he also landed Logan Diggs, a guy that was going to start for any team that offered him out of the portal. I'm not sure if he's going to be RB1 this fall, but, man, he's a really talented running back. You got the former transfer in Kyron Lacey. He's probably wide receiver 1 at a lot of top-tier programs too. So LSU certainly has talent, and they have depth to win. So they have to get through the brutal schedule, and I'm looking forward to that September opener against FSU down in Orlando.
We'll be there, and certainly looking forward to that, and look forward to being in Nashville in a couple of weeks. Brad Crawford from 247 Sports. Hey, man, we appreciate a couple of minutes. We'll see you in Nashville, all right?
See you there, man. All
right, be well. How about that? The more conversation, if you're an LSU fan, you're going to have to get used to this. Not that it's like a bad thing or hard to get used to, but understanding there's a lot of people that, like, this offseason is going to be about hyping LSU. A year ago, it was. Do you remember what the conversations were a year ago about this team? It was Brian Kelly's not a fit. It's family. It was the silly dancing on the spinning camera. I mean, it was all that. The whole offseason was making fun of Brian Kelly and how he's not a fit. That was the offseason. LSU was projected 6.5 wins. That was last year at this time. It is a 180. I mean, Brian Kelly shut up a lot of doubters a year ago with the way that LSU made their way through last season. Winning the West, beating Bama, 10 games, and put everybody on notice. He's still a great coach, and he's got more resources here than he ever had at Notre Dame, and is going to win big, and win big quickly. So, yeah, this conversation this offseason is going to be LSU's best team in the West. Did you hear him? Did you just hear him? Brad Crawford from 247 Sports just said that he thinks LSU has one of the best quarterback rooms in the country, right alongside USC. I mean, you're going to hear a lot of that from impartial third parties, not LSU fans or LSU media. Like, that's the conversation people are going to be having about this team. You're going to have a great chance to prove it. Week 1 in Orlando against Florida State. All right, y'all. It is after further review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Love telling you about the Williamson Eye Center. I was talking to Paulie after the show yesterday. Paulie went by the Williamson Eye Center, getting his LASIK. Paulie said, I'm done with contacts forever. Good for you, dude. You're going to love it. Best decision I ever made. Only regret is not doing it sooner. You know, the amount of times that, Paul and I were talking about it. You know, when you wear contacts, for those of you who wear contacts, you can understand this. Like, you get the disposable contacts. You're supposed to throw them away after 2 weeks. Nobody does that. It's like 2 months, and then maybe you consider changing them. Why? Because you got to sit there and buy new boxes of contacts like every 2 weeks. That's bogus. It's expensive. Take care of it forever. Be done with that. Be done with contacts and glasses forever. Call the Williamson Eye Center. Let Dr. Blake Williamson give you that evaluation. Change your life, man. 924-2020, 924-2020. By the way, no matter where you're listening, New Orleans, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Alec, wherever you are, it's worth the drive to see the best. I mean, you're having refractive surgery. Go see the best. It's the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com. All right, it is after further review. We'll go around the SEC here in just a quick second. Nate Ackenhausen will be here in hour 3. Looking forward to talking to the big lefty. If you missed it on Monday, we had Riley Cooper on the show, and Cooper just flatly said his goal is to get drafted and signed. He's ready to start his pro career. Some guys are at that point. We'll ask Nate the same question when he's here in hour number 3. Quick break. We'll go around the SEC. One guy also who we know won't be back is Josh Stevenson, who jumped in the portal. He's announced his destination. We'll get to that as we continue next here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers. Hey, tomorrow's show, Friday show, we're going to be at Pluckers on Bluebonnet and looking forward to it. If you've heard some of the promos running, our buddy, longtime high school coach, Sid Edwards, great man, has taken over the program at Estruma. So we're going to go do the show over at Pluckers. We're going to invite people to come out. Our guy Stevie Levy, the king of the wing over at Pluckers, is going to donate a portion of the sales during the show to Estruma, sort of as a fundraiser as well, getting that program and the equipment and the resources they need just to get the program going again. So we're excited to do that. Of course, tonight, Thursday, all-you-can-eat boneless buffalo bites. That's white meat, breaded, fried, tossed in your favorite wing sauce, and you can eat as many of them as you want all night long for one low price. That's tonight and every Thursday at Pluckers. Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery, Uber Eats, DoorDash. If you're sitting at your desk and having lunch and you don't want to get up and get out, just Uber Eats, DoorDash, or Plucker South or something like that. It's at Pluckers, where if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go? Super weird.
But we can.
After further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
One player who we know will not be returning to LSU baseball is Josh Stevenson, who was not on LSU's postseason roster and, of course, jumped in the transfer portal. And Stevenson has now made his future destination known. He's headed to Ohio State. So Josh Stevenson, he'll continue his career in the Big Ten. Stevenson played 24 games this year for LSU, played in 40 games a year ago as a freshman, but just found himself kind of knocked down the depth chart a bit, hopped in the portal, and now Stevenson will finish his career there at Ohio State in the Big Ten. So wish him luck. He's a plus outfielder, plus defender who just struggled at the plate. A year ago, he was 13 of 65, and this year just 1 of 10. In his at-bats this season for LSU. So Josh Stevenson on the move, and he is headed to Ohio State. One other bit of news about, it's a former Tiger, future Tigers. How about this? 2023, the Max Preps All-America teams have featured 3 commitments for 2024 and 3 signees for 2023. The 2023 signees honored Blake Mitchell, the catcher out of Texas, number 1 prospect in the state. He's not likely ever to show up at LSU, by the way. He's going to be a high first-round pick. But Blake Mitchell was first-team All-American. Left-hander Jake Brown out of Sulphur and left-hander Cam Johnson out of IMG Academy. They're also on the first team. Right-hander Landon Victorian of Barb was on the first team. And the other 2024 commitments were junior outfielder Josh Pearson and from West Monroe, John Pearson. Forgive me. John Pearson. This is going to be confusing. John Pearson, who is Josh Pearson's younger brother, who is actually bigger but younger and is a baller. He was also on the second team, as was Connor Griffin out of Jackson, Mississippi. Of course, Connor Griffin is the guy who we've talked about here for probably about a year now, ever since he committed to LSU. A guy that is everyone's compared him to Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, Josh Hamilton. I mean, he is that generational type talent who is just different. And if LSU can find a way to get that kid on campus, it'd be massive. I understand why everybody says that's not possible. I'll say it again. It's not impossible, is what I would say. Whereas when you're talking about a guy that's generally considered to be a top 5, if not the number 1 overall prospect coming out of high school, they never step foot on campus. What I'm telling you about Connor Griffin is there's at least a chance. Maybe it's a 30% chance, which means 70% he's gone. Overwhelmingly, he's gone. But there is a chance there. So file that one away. Congrats to all the future Tigers who were honored by Max Preps. All right, it's after further review. Y'all, Saturday, fired up for this, man. UFC 290 is Saturday. Of course, that means our friends over at DraftKings, the official sports betting partner of the UFC, have an awesome deal for new customers. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. If you haven't done it yet, what are you waiting on? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code Baton Rouge, one word Baton Rouge. Make a $5 bet on UFC 290, and they'll give you $150 in bonus bets instantly. So you don't have to correctly wager on who wins. You just have to make a $5 bet on UFC 290, and they'll give you $150 in bonus bets instantly. Now, this is a featherweight title bout between the current champ, Alexander Volkanovski, and the interim champ, Yair Rodriguez. Look, Volkanovski is pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world and is a overwhelming favorite to win that fight. But Yair Rodriguez is a dominant striker. He's an elite striker. And in this sport, with 4-ounce gloves, if you're a great striker, you got a shot. You always have a shot. So I'm going to be watching UFC 290 on Saturday, fired up for it. And, of course, I'll have my DraftKings app. And listen, if you're like me and you're an existing DraftKings customer, they've got same fight parlays for anybody, where you can string together multiple bets from the same fight for an even bigger payout. It's at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. One word. Use the promo code Baton Rouge at the DraftKings Sportsbook app and bet just $5 on UFC 290. Get $150 in bonus bets instantly this Saturday with the DraftKings Sportsbook and the code Baton Rouge.
21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/MMA terms. Licensee partner Gold Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537.
All right, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Excellence in imaging solutions. The Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee baseball has added an all-conference player from the ACC. Clemson's Billy Amick is transferring into Tennessee. So hit .413 for the Tigers this year with 13 homers. Incidentally, of course, it was Clemson and Tennessee who played that epic 14-inning game in the regional that Tennessee won, and Clemson's season ended the following morning at the hands of Charlotte at their own regional. Amick is now the 5th transfer commit for Tennessee. Vols, of course, made it to the College World Series twice in the last 3 years, trying to get over that elusive hump, though.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Oregon assistant basketball coach Chuck Martin has been hired by John Calipari at Kentucky as the assistant coach and recruiting coordinator. Martin was on Cal's staff at Memphis from 2006 to 2008. Of course, they played for a national championship, then lost to Kansas. Martin's been in college basketball since 1999. Seton Hall, UMass, Drexel, St. John's, Memphis, Marist, Indiana, South Carolina, and most recently Oregon, now Kentucky.
The Auburn Tigers.
And Auburn has announced Jordan-Hare Stadium will have a record-setting number of season ticket holders in 2023. They've sold 63,500 season tickets. That bests the previous high back in 2014, the year after Auburn played for the national title in 2013, year one under Gus Malzahn, of course. And that is without the season ticket, the student season ticket numbers in yet, so it'll climb high. Of course, Auburn first year under Hugh Freeze, and they do have home games against Georgia and Alabama this year. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends Gulf Coast Office Products, supporters of all of the local teams, the official office equipment provider of the LSU Tigers, the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Pelicans, the ULL Ragin' Cajuns. It's Gulf Coast Office Products with offices in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, North Shore, Lafayette. They'll get to you same day or worst case scenario the next day by 10 a.m. So if you got office equipment problems or needs, they proudly sell the Savin line. They're a national leader among Savin dealers, but they will service all makes and models. It's Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. Olivia Dunn making serious waves in the NIL space today. I have some thoughts on that. We'll get to it when we come back. And right after the top of the hour, there's already a 2024 NFL mock draft out. Why it's interesting for both the Saints and the LSU Tigers. That's coming up in 17 minutes. Stay here.
AFR.
Man, I love telling you about our friends over at the Renaissance Hotel because regardless of what it is you're trying to do, chances are they can help. You want a business lunch? Go to Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel. Casual, upscale dining, a great way to avoid the crowds, have a great, affordable meal. You can get their hamburger special for $10. It is the best burger you will have. It's a gourmet hamburger for $10. You can get it at Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel. Got family coming in for the game or for holidays? You can stay at the Renaissance Hotel, of course. And if you're hosting any type of event, the Renaissance is perfect. Call Allison over at the Renaissance Hotel and just explain what type of event you're looking to host. Maybe it's an executive board meeting for 12, 2 dozen people. Maybe it's a gala for 500 people, a wedding reception, anything in between. At the Renaissance Hotel, they say, we're in the business of saying yes. So whatever it is you're trying to do, they're going to accommodate you. That's the Renaissance Hotel right there on Bluebonnet near I-10 in Baton Rouge. It's the Renaissance Hotel in Baton Rouge. Check them out today.
There it is, the extra mile on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco, voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
You might have seen this today. Olivia Dunn on her social media announced the forming of what she's calling the Livy Fund. It's being done through LSU's Bayou Traditions, which is the LSU Collective. And effectively, what this is going to do is it's going to connect female student athletes at LSU with top brands to try to get endorsement deals. Listen, first of all, I think it's super admirable that Olivia Dunn, who has built the preeminent empire in NIL among not just female athletes, but all college athletes. Only Bronny James has a higher On3 NIL valuation than Olivia Dunn. So she did a podcast recently where she acknowledged making more than $500,000 on a single Instagram post. So the fact that she has had such incredible success and is sort of looking forward and seeing how she might be able to help other female student athletes, I think that is more than admirable and actually really, really cool. So if you're not familiar with Bayou Traditions, it's LSU's collective. There was an original collective that just wasn't well run or well funded. It didn't go under per se, but it's sort of assumed, I guess, by Bayou Traditions, which is LSU's official collective that they're moving forward with that's more organized. Incidentally, I say that as more organized. If you remember, they hired Brent Cunningham to run Bayou Traditions, and roughly a month after he was hired, he was removed of his duties. And I sincerely don't even know right now if LSU has anyone that they've replaced to run Bayou Traditions. So the NIL space continues to be cumbersome, I think is a good way to say it. But the Livy Fund, and if you go to the website, the Bayou Traditions website, you'll see right there the scrolling banner at the top. It says Introducing the Livy Fund. You can click that and learn more about how you can support the fund and what ultimately she's trying to do. But this is basically what it boils down to. 66% of money raised by collectives is going to male athletes. And it makes sense. Like, the highest dollar athletes for a collective are going to be in sports that are your revenue generators, which are football and men's basketball. The reason I say that it's odd is, well, that makes sense. But what's interesting is if you actually look at the amount of money that have been done in NIL deals outside of, say, just a collective funding student athletes. So maybe like independent, right? So Olivia Dunn, for example, the deals she is doing are not through LSU's collective. She grew a massive social media following, and as soon as NIL went live, because she had a major following, she was able to monetize that following independently with some large-scale deals that she's done. But what's so interesting is that female student athletes are the ones that have done more of those types of deals than the male student athletes. And I'm not guessing at this. The NIL podcast that I do with Jonathan Pixley from over at Matchpoint, I mean, this is a point he has made repeatedly, and so many of the guests we've had on that podcast, people who cover the business of sports and cover NIL and administrators and collective operators, they've all said the same thing, that the female athletes are just better at operating their social media as a business and treating their NIL opportunities as a business. So I guess the reason it's interesting is, yes, 66% of the money in collectives is going to male athletes, primarily because it's football and men's basketball, but overwhelmingly, females have done a better job than their male counterparts at seeking and capitalizing on NIL opportunities. A great example is Sarah Edwards. If you remember, Sarah Edwards was an LSU gymnast. Her last season was a year ago. So the first year that NIL went live, incidentally, Sarah Edwards was the first ever guest we had on Rosters to Riches, the NIL podcast. Sarah Edwards made 5 figures her last year at LSU in NIL deals that she did and worked really hard to get and to service those clients and do a great job of promoting and managing all of her social media and everything that she did. I mean, that's a young lady that in her final year of college made real money, like real money. And when I say 5 figures, I'm not talking about low 5 figures like $10,000. More than that. But she made real money doing NIL because she treated it like a business, and you see that more with female student athletes. So I'm going to be interested to see. Now, LSU's got Bayou Traditions, and the Livy Fund is there. So if you go to the website, you'll see the banner at the top where it says the Livy Fund, and you can click on it and show you how you can contribute there, which would go to benefit female student athletes at LSU, which I think is a great mission and a great option and opportunity for people. I don't know how many people will contribute, and I don't think it has anything to do with Olivia Dunn or female athletes. I just think the general fan, and you tell me if I'm wrong, and maybe this can be our poll question today, like, would you contribute to an NIL fund? Like, when LSU launched Bayou Traditions, it's wide open. Anybody that wants to contribute to Bayou Traditions, you can. You can go give money to Bayou Traditions. But by and large, my assumption is the average fan is not willing to fund a collective, is not willing to contribute and donate to NIL. They all recognize, like, every fan recognizes the importance of NIL and wants it to be funded, but they're looking at people like Gordon to say, hey, big guy, go get him. Which is why I think it's very important to have those types of supporters that are willing to do it. So it's interesting as we continue to evolve in the NIL space. But, hat tip to Olivia Dunn for the job she's done, which if you are a true free market capitalist, and I am that, I salute her and every student athlete that's been able to find a way to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. If someone's willing to pay you to do a task and you can go make money doing it, God bless you, go get it. And she's done an awesome job of it. And if this, encourages people to help support other women's sports and female athletes through NIL, great job and job well done. So the Livy Fund is there at Bayou Traditions if you care to participate. It's BayouTraditionsCollective.com, BayouTraditionsCollective.com. All right, y'all, it's after further review. Glad to have you aboard with us here. I'm going to knock out a quick break. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette. So shout out to all of our friends in the 337 listening on ESPN 1037 in Lafayette. Went live last week, and we're excited for all of you that continue to join us every day. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. A 2024 mock draft is out. What does it mean for LSU and the Saints? That's next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Mold Zero USA, mold-0usa.com. You can always get to the website. You can learn more. Or just call Jim and the gang over at Mold Zero. They'll explain their non-toxic, patented dry fog treatment. I bring it up all the time when we talk about mold because in South Louisiana, it's hot and humid and it's wet. It's a perfect breeding ground for mold. But remember, with Mold Zero, it's not just mold. Yes, it's mold, but it's other harmful pathogens, even all the different bacteria that creates odor. So maybe you're a gym. Maybe you're a locker room. Maybe you're a school with a locker room, or maybe you are some type of athletic facility. Maybe you're an industrial kitchen or a restaurant and you have those odors in your kitchen that you just can't seem to kick. Mold Zero can help. Remember, it's totally safe. It's completely safe for plants and pets and your family and everything. Learn more. It's Mold Zero. Mold-0usa.com.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. The fallout was swift following a WBRZ investigative unit report that showed 2 children alleged they were molested by a Livingston Parish Sheriff's deputy. Community advocates and those fighting for justice are demanding that an outside authority like a federal agency come in and investigate. Hear why they say what happened in this latest case isn't a coincidence. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. A move by the Trailblazers today that's not about Damian Lillard, matching an offer sheet from Dallas to guard Matisse Thybulle. He'll stay in Portland 3 years, $33 million. That from our Adrian Wojnarowski. As for Lillard, who wants to be traded to Miami, Brian Windhorst reminds us the Heat have a history with this sort of thing.
2005, Andy Ellisberg and Pat Riley did a 5-team, 13-player deal, the biggest trade in NBA history, to get 3 rotation players that led them to winning a title the next year. 2010, obviously the LeBron Bosh year. 5 years ago, Jimmy Butler, they did a 4-team sign and trade, which is one of the most complicated deals you'll ever see. These guys know how to do big trades.
ESPN's Brian Windhorst on Get Up. Former Bengals running back Corey Dillon tells The Athletic he is not happy about letting fans vote for the team's Ring of Honor, saying his exclusion is, quote, damn near criminal, close quote. ESPN's Ramona Shelburne reports WNBA players Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier will start a new women's league in the WNBA offseason.
I'm Freddie Coleman, and coming up on Friday, with all of the hype around Victor Wembanyama, are we sure that he's going to be able to live up to said hype? We'll discuss that and more at 6 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. MLB draft is this weekend, and the gentleman who is now projecting Max Clark, the high schooler out of Indiana, to be the number 1 overall pick, Brian Sakowski from Perfect Game, he's going to be with us in 15 minutes. And then bottom of this hour, our buddy Ari Temken from SiriusXM Big 12. Big 12 Media Days next week, and Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, made in no uncertain terms it clear that while they're at 14 teams this year, next year they'll go to 12 when Texas and Oklahoma leave for the SEC. He wants to get back to 14. So we got to talk Big 12 expansion and what that may mean. We'll do that at the bottom of this hour. Mark Ingram, former Saint, he is done with football. Fox has announced formally here that they are welcoming Mark Ingram as a college football analyst to Fox Sports. He'll be on the Fox Big Noon Kickoff broadcast. So the report several weeks back was that Mark Ingram would be replacing Reggie Bush on the Big Noon Kickoff. It's very odd to have a guy who is from an SEC school and played his professional career in New Orleans as well to be on the Big Noon Kickoff covering Big Ten games. But congrats to Mark Ingram as he transitions into media at the end of his NFL career. So this may seem awfully premature, but Jordan Reed from ESPN, one of their draft analysts, NFL draft analysts, has put out a 2024 mock draft. I have no idea why Jordan Reed would choose now to put out a 2024 mock draft. NFL camp hasn't reported. College football talking season isn't even underway. Yet here we are with a 2024 mock draft. This should come as no surprise. Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick, he projects. What is a surprise is that it's to Arizona, where, of course, they've got Kyler Murray there, who was the number 1 overall pick just several years ago. Now, remember, Arizona also has Houston's number 1 pick as a result of their trade this past draft, and so he's projecting Arizona to pick 1 and 2. And to go Caleb Williams, and then to get Caleb Williams, a receiver, in Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State. He's also projecting Tampa to pick third. And he's got Tampa taking Drake May out of North Carolina. The reason why I laugh heartily at that, if you missed it, Carlton Davis, cornerback for the Bucs, did an interview with golongtd.com where he was asked about the Bucs being without Tom Brady, now no longer being contenders. He said, quote, "We're about to do it to him. Anybody who feels we've lost Tom and lost something, it's going to be in for a rude awakening. A rude awakening. Tom was a great addition for us, but obviously it's a team sport. Obviously you need components to be successful. We still have those components, and I'm only getting better." He went on, quote, "We're going to wreck expletive. Interceptions, turnovers, plays will be made. I will say, plays will be made." Do I need to remind Carlton Davis that Tampa Bay was 8-9 with Tom Brady a year ago? Bro, y'all gonna suck. Your organization is fire sailing the whole thing. You're gonna suck. They're projecting you to pick third. You're gonna suck. You literally have the worst odds to win the division. Plus 800 to win the crappy NFC South. Tampa, Carlton Davis, you're gonna suck. Anyway. Specifically with the Saints, listen, when I'm looking at a mock draft in July, on July the 6th, I am not so much worried about the player. I am worried about two things primarily, or interested in two things primarily. Number one, where are you projecting the Saints to pick? And number two, what position are you projecting the Saints to pick? A lot will change as far as the personnel. Remember, before the season in 2021, Spencer Rattler was the projected number one overall pick. He lost his job that year at Oklahoma to Caleb Williams and transferred to South Carolina. He's back for a fifth college season. So I'm not so much interested in the player as I am where are you projected to pick and what position. And Jordan Reed's projecting the Saints to pick 20th. So essentially saying the Saints are going to be a playoff team this year by virtue of winning the NFC South, which I agree with. I think the Saints are going to win a bad division this year. And that makes a lot of sense, why you would have the Saints picking 20th. He's also got the Saints picking Christian Mahogany, a rich mahogany. God, I hope that happens just so I can quote Anchorman all the time. Oh. Rich mahogany. Yes.
This is going to be a drop. We're just going to make that
I would
a drop.
love it.
Yeah.
I would love it if it happens that way. It has to happen, though. But Christian Mahogany is an offensive guard from Boston College. And as Jordan Reed notes, interior offensive line is going to be a major question mark for the Saints. Andres Pete, Cesar Ruiz, Calvin Throckmorton will all be free agents following the 2023 season. So your top three interior offensive linemen all could be gone following this season. And Mahogany is a guy that was getting first-round buzz last year before he tore his ACL. So now he's healthy, he's back. Scouts are going to be looking to see if he can prove it. And Boston College has produced very good offensive linemen in the draft. Chris Lindstrom in 2019, Zion Johnson in 2022 were first-rounders. Mahogany could be the next. 6'3", 335. And by the way, Jordan Reed mentions interior offensive line, wide receiver, and defensive line as what would be the biggest needs for the Saints. So, again, I'm less concerned so much with the player and more interested in where they're drafting and the position they draft. Now, first of all, drafting an offensive lineman would totally be on par for the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, historically, let me not even say historically, the Saints under Mickey Loomis, they draft linemen. This year, your first pick was Brian Brzee. Last year, you had 2 first-round picks. One of them was Trevor Pennick. 2021, your first pick was Peyton Turner, defensive lineman. In 2020, your first pick was Cesar Ruiz, offensive lineman. In 2019, your first pick was in round 2, but it was Eric McCoy, center. In 2018, your first pick was Marcus Davenport, defensive lineman. In 2017, you had 2 ones. One of them used on Ryan Ramczyk, offensive lineman. The year before that, 2016, Sheldon Rankins, defensive lineman. 2015, it was Andres Pete, offensive lineman. You get the drill. You get the point. The Saints draft linemen. It's what they do. And I'm not opposed to that in any way. Part of the reason the Saints built that great offense they did under Drew Brees was they built inside out with the best guard tandem in the NFL at the time when they had Carl Nicks and Jari Evans. And they've continued to follow that path. And, of course, you want great interior defensive linemen as well. They can blow up the launch pad. So, yes, absolutely. You're looking at a year where Andrus Peat, Cesar Ruiz, Calvin Throckmorton are all going to be free agents. You're likely going to need an interior offensive lineman. Now, I'm very curious to see what is going to happen with Trevor Penning. Is Trevor Penning going to be able to play left tackle for you? Is he going to be a tackle, or does he slide inside and play guard at the NFL level? If he plays guard and you re-sign or keep Andrus Peat, or re-sign Cesar Ruiz at a lesser dollar amount, okay, well then maybe you don't draft an interior lineman. But maybe Trevor Penning becomes your starting left tackle and you lose both Ruiz and Peat, and you draft a guard and you go into free agency and sign one of the top guards in free agency. Those are possibilities as well. The Saints haven't really historically spent money on free agent offensive linemen. Of course, they made the trade for Max Unger, but they've mostly drafted, developed, and kept their own linemen that they've drafted and developed. So just something to file away if they do go that direction. The other two positions that I would say, and I disagree completely on wide receiver and defensive line. Now, wide receiver could become a need based on what transpires this year. You got a lot of receivers, but if none of them pan out, you could very much be in the market for a receiver next year, but I think somebody will. Quarterback is the other sort of like star asterisk, file it away. Because if the Saints are picking 20th, they likely win the division and they're picking 20th and you're good with Derek Carr and you proceed. But there's always the possibility that this season does not go well. And the scenario that I've suggested could happen unfolds, which is that Derek Carr is basically Andy Dalton. He's 9 years into his career with the team that drafted him. He was always a really good quarterback, but never an elite top-tier quarterback. The team that drafted him recognized a declining skill set and moved on. And we saw what happened with Dalton. He went to Chicago and Dallas and the Saints and now Carolina. 4 years, 4 teams, and he's no longer a viable starting option in the NFL. I think Derek Carr is Andy Dalton. Maybe I'm dead wrong. And he performs at an even better level with a change of scenery. Or maybe he's Andy Dalton. And if he is, and you faceplant this year, then you're looking for a quarterback in the draft. And that could be a spot to do it. I don't know if it's at 20, but likely higher in the draft than where you would be picking. And maybe you do what Carolina did this year, which is get aggressive to move up and get a guy who you think could be your franchise in this coming draft. So file it away. Again, that's Jordan Reed from ESPN with his 2024 mock draft. If you're wondering about the rest of the division, Tampa picking 3rd. He's got Atlanta picking 13th. And then, obviously Carolina then not having a pick after having moved up and trading with the Bears would have Carolina picking 10th. The Bears picking 10th with Carolina's pick. So it's going to be a bad division, y'all. There's really no excuse for the Saints not to win this division. Okay, it's after further review. Quick break. When we come back, Brian Sakowski will join us. He has a pretty major shakeup at the top of his mock draft. MLB Draft Round 1 is on Sunday. We'll talk to Brian Sakowski next here on AFR.
AFR.
Buying or selling commercial or residential. If you need a realtor, you need Darren James. 335-7666. Call Darren James today. That's his cell number. Text him. I guarantee you, if you text Darren James right now and say, DJ, what's up? Scone said, what's up? You'll get a response right away. It's just the way Darren operates. He is obsessed with giving exceptional customer service to all of his clients and anyone that reaches out to him. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com, agent225.com. Go check out a lot of Darren's social media. You'll see some incredible properties also at his website at agent225.com. One of the things Darren does isn't just still photos. He'll do moving video for his listings. Another differentiator to get your home sold faster for more money. It's Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street. The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile bank.
After further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
MLB Draft is this weekend, and most of us are expecting to see Dylan Cruz, Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, in whatever order, 1-2, depending on what Pittsburgh elects to do. However, there is some scuttle, and has been actually for some time, that Pittsburgh, notoriously cheap, could do something a little surprising at the top. And the guy who actually had the guts to pull the trigger and put pen to paper or finger to keyboard and predict it is Brian Sakowski from Perfect Game. He's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Hey, man, thanks for the time. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Okay, so you have Max Clark, the outfielder out of Indiana, going number 1 overall to Pittsburgh, not Cruz or Skeens. Why?
I just think that Pittsburgh is more interested in potentially cutting a deal and saving some money to pay guys down the board. And obviously Dylan Cruz is not going to cut a deal at 1. He's the best player in the class. Why would you? And I feel similarly about Skeens, the best arm in the class. Why would you do that? So I don't think I'm calling my shot and saying that this is how it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I just think that there's a good likelihood of Pittsburgh getting creative as opposed to staying chalk and just taking the best player.
How many teams in the draft do you think would do what you're proposing Pittsburgh might, which is pass on Cruz or Skeens to cut a deal? Essentially, I think you understand what I'm saying, but Pittsburgh, notoriously cheap. How many teams, if you had to ballpark it, would do something similar to that?
I think the more progressive you get in the front office, like those types of backgrounds, when your general manager is a progressive guy, that
kind of leads into more being creative at the top. And what I mean by being creative is like we're talking about. Taking a guy so you can save $1 million or so against the slot so that you have $1 million more at your second or third pick to pay a guy who would have slid because he was too expensive. It's hard to do that. It's difficult to do it right. Mike Elias in Baltimore is a guy who's done it right, but he's one of the few. And Pittsburgh has Henry Davis working out. They just did this a couple years ago. The same vibe. Took a guy who wasn't the consensus number one and paid him a little bit less and then spread that money down. So I just think it's a risky endeavor for sure. But if your mindset is let's not tie up all of our money into one guy and try and tie our money into three guys or something like that, that's more the thought process.
Is Dylan Cruz or Paul Skeens that superior of a prospect to Max Clark or Wyatt Langford that would make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're all really good. I want that on record,
Right.
But I think that Cruz is a generational talent in terms of being a hitter. I think that Skeens is right there with him in terms of being on the mound. I think Wyatt Langford from Florida is really, really good too. So for me, and I'm not an MLB GM, but for me, I just take the guy I've identified as the best player. Like I have the first pick. I get whoever I want. So I personally would take Dylan Cruz at one, but it could go any number of ways.
Why Cruz over Skeens?
I just think that there is a little bit less inherent risk with a bat. With pitchers, it's so tough because so many of them get hurt. And that's not projecting injury on anybody. That's not saying the guys don't come back from injury. It's just there's a higher likelihood of a pitcher having an injury that takes away years from his prime than there are hitters that have those injuries. Not saying those don't happen either, but just in terms of the projecting out the value and a little bit of the safety of it, I'm always going to lean bats over arms.
That is the prevailing conventional wisdom. Isn't that? That's why you typically see the position player go over the pitching prospect, unless if the pitching prospect is Paul Skeens. So let me ask you, as a scout in scouting talent, put some context around the type of prospect Paul Skeens is.
I wasn't around in my scouting career for Strasburg. I was just getting into it when Garrett Cole went. It's there. It's right there. You're talking about the best one of my career, and that stretches 10 or 11 years now, whatever. It's rare physicality with rare makeup and work ethic with rare stuff. It's kind of everything you want. I can't nitpick anything with that guy. He's really good. The only thing that is the backdraw is he is a pitcher. So there's inherently a little bit more risk to that. That's not his fault, but I can't think of anybody that I've ever scouted at the amateur level who's better than he is.
Brian Sakowski is with us. He's on Twitter at B_Sakowski_PG, as in Perfect Game, of course, there with Perfect Game. Draft starts this weekend. I'm also curious about Ty Floyd, because that's a guy who clearly helped himself tremendously in Omaha. How much did Ty Floyd help himself in the last month of the season?
We just released our final draft board a couple hours ago. I have Ty Floyd at number 48, I think. And prior to that, our most recent board was in April, and I think I had him in the 80s. So give or take a round, something like that, I think he's going to be a priority guy in the comp round or maybe the second round, and there's some rumors of him maybe even going a little higher than that for a proposed deal or whatever. But I think that the fastball quality got to shine on the biggest stage, and guys got to see him really dominate with it against elite competition, and the strides the breaking ball's made this year, as you guys know, obviously down there. He's a different guy than he was when he got to campus. He's a different guy than he was last year. He's a different guy than he was in March. I'm in on the developmental trajectory there, and I think second round or a little bit above that even.
The other guy that we've talked a lot about here as far as unknown with respect to an arm is Grant Taylor, a guy that everybody had sort of in the top 100 thereabouts, had Tommy John, and no one really seems to know what he is going to do. Where, provided there is an opportunity for Grant Taylor, where would you project him?
He's still in the top 100 for me. I think we had him in the 50s, maybe 40s or 50s heading in, and then you miss a year and you take the hit from that. I'm not an orthopedic surgeon. I haven't read his medical charts. if he's healthy and you, as an organization, believe that he's going to be the guy that you thought he was in the fall or whatever it was before he got hurt, then I'd take that guy in the third round for sure. I think that's a good range for that. I don't know if he'd be interested in signing there. I don't know if LSU is the better option for him to come back next year and try again. But I still think of him as a very, very high-level talent.
Is that a guy that if he did come back and had a good year could push his way up into round one and make himself a couple of $1 million?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's that caliber stuff. I think that's what we might have been expecting this year, even prior to the injury, was this guy's going to be one of the guys as far as the arms in the class.
A couple more for you, Brian. When you look at this class and this board in total, is there a prospect at or near the top or somewhere around round one that was really hard to gauge where he might go or projectability?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think you always lean towards high school guys with that sort of question because those guys are obviously a little bit harder to project. I'm a big fan of Arjun Namala. He's a high school shortstop from Florida. We have him in the top 10 of the board. I really love him, but he is a hard guy to figure out, to answer your question. It's kind of rare power for a guy who's 175 pounds. He shouldn't be hitting balls as far as he does. He's a great athlete. He can play the middle of the diamond. But figuring out the hit tool on high school hitters is difficult. It is probably the most difficult thing in scouting, in amateur scouting anyway. So I'll go with him, and I know that's a little bit of a cheat, but a guy with his traits, you really want to fall in love with him, and you have to force yourself to sort of look at him through a different lens to make sure you're not just getting excited about tools or something like that. So I'll cheat and say him, and I say that while still being a very big fan.
Let me ask you about one other high school guy, and it's Blake Mitchell, who's an LSU commitment, and I don't think anyone expects this kid's ever going to show up on campus. But I got a question, and this is more theory on Twitter from a guy named Thomas, who said, why would a player like Blake Mitchell, who we never expect to show up on campus, even bother going through the process of committing and signing with a school?
Because you never know. This happens every year. We have these 15 or 16-year-olds who are the best player in the country at their position, and they commit, and you think to yourself, well, why bother? You're going to go in the first round in a couple of years. And then that's not usually how it ends up going down. Injuries happen, this, that, and the other thing, the money, the agents that get involved. There's a lot of mitigating factors that can prevent what you think is going to happen when he's 16 to what actually happens when he's 18. Now, Mitchell's a case study of a dude who was really good at 14, and he never was anything other than really good his entire prep career. He answered every question we ever had. He checked every box we ever had. He continued to get better in all facets of the game. And I'm with you. I wouldn't imagine he's going to show up in Baton Rouge, and I know that would be awesome for both LSU and college baseball in general. But he's really, really talented, and you can look at that from the perspective of, hey, LSU does a good job scouting. We identified this guy early and committed him, and I know that was even a different staff maybe, but we identified this guy early and committed him, and they were right. He's really good.
And sometimes there's a global pandemic, and Dylan Cruz shows up and becomes the greatest player in the history of your program.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's pretty much from the moment he pulled his name out of the 2020 draft, he's been number one on the board for 2023, so happy to see that hasn't changed.
He is Brian Sakowski. I know it's a busy time with the draft right around the bend. We appreciate you for carving out a few minutes here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Be well. Brian Sakowski again from Perfect Game. He's on Twitter at B_Sakowski_PG. By the way, that's SAKOWSKI. Gotta love those Polish names. Good Polish name there. Sakowski. Gotta love it. No, and listen, I'm glad he answered the question the way he did about Blake Mitchell. But because that's why. Because sometimes Alex Bregman breaks his thumb and isn't a first-round pick and comes to campus. Sometimes Dylan Cruz doesn't get the number he wants, and so he comes to campus. So you take that commit. But as a college coach, you also protect against that and make sure in the way that you build out your class, you compensate for the likelihood or probability of losing a player like that. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back, and we'll talk to Ari Temken. It's our buddy from SiriusXM Big 12 Radio. Brent Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, says they are not stopping expanding. And what does that mean for the Big 12? We'll talk about that with Big 12 Media Days next week. Ari Temken joins us next here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by New Orleans Flooring. You can always get to nolaflooring.com or get by either of their locations. Of course, Metairie and then Airline Highway in Prairieville. You know, at New Orleans Flooring, there's so many differentiators. We tell you about price all the time, of course, where because they keep their product in stock, they can save you up to 50% off of retail. They also do professional installation. You can get up to 12 months, same as cash, on select merchandise as well. The reason builders and contractors use New Orleans Flooring is because they save you time and money. You can buy and pick up same day. You can buy today, have them install tomorrow. So if you're a contractor, man, they have like 50-ounce carpet as low as $1.50 a square foot. It's incredible. If you're a commercial customer, they got over 100,000 square foot of overruns in nylon carpet tile, starting at $1 a square foot. It's all at New Orleans Flooring. Airline Highway in Prairieville, or online, nolaflooring.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
To me, I do think there's strength in numbers, but if we end up being at 12, that's great. I'd like to stay at 14, even with the departures of Texas and Oklahoma, candidly. We'll see if that's a possibility or not. But I love 12. I love the current makeup moving forward. In fact, I'm thrilled with it. We're not chasing a number. Again, whatever happens has to truly create value for the conference and fit within those guiding principles.
That is Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark on BYU Sports Nation in no uncertain terms saying he likes 14 teams. And then he backpedaled a little bit. Said, but 12 is good too. Really like our makeup. It's got to make sense. I really like 14. All right, so what does that mean? Ari Temken, Sirius XM Big 12 Radio, buddy of the show, joins us to react to it. Ari, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
Doing great, Matt. How are you, buddy? Good to talk to you.
You as well. Thanks, man. Okay, you hear Brett Yormark say that your immediate reaction is what?
This is what he's been saying pretty consistently the entire time. And not, in those specific terms, but I think it's obvious which two he's talking about. It's funny. We've sort of been going over with a fine-tooth comb everything that he said, and specific to this, really over the last year as it relates to realignment. And it's funny because, he really the only time he said no was when Memphis came up. And the only other time that he's, he talks about a realignment, he talks about the fit, the importance of culture, and that he wants to grow the conference if it's the right fit. The problem with that, Matt, is I don't even know what that means. I look at the Big 12 and I don't see any common culture or fit. I see a conference that wants to expand out from coast to coast. I see a conference that wants to be in every time zone. I don't know that I see a conference with a shared cultural value that it seems to have way too much stock in when we talk about these sorts of things. But I think it's obvious Colorado and Arizona are the two schools he's talking about. And at this point, the Big 12 is just waiting for the Pac-12 to make an announcement on the TV deal, and that they hope that their deal is better, so much so that they could get Colorado and Arizona to jump, and then perhaps others as well. But there have been ongoing discussions between Brett Yormark and certainly other institutions across the country. But I think if there was interest, some of those moves would have already happened. The two that obviously hang in the balance are Colorado and Arizona at this point.
Okay, clear this up for me. Why would Colorado and Arizona lock themselves into a Pac-12 deal to only then jump to the Big 12? Wouldn't they have some exorbitant buyout if that were the case? Why not move now?
Yeah, I think, and it's a great question, I think they're waiting to see what those numbers are going to be. And, I'm assuming at this point they've seen something to give them some semblance of an indication of what those numbers could be. I mean, Matt, we're literally a year away. 1 year ago yesterday, July 5th, 2022, the Pac-12 made the announcement that they were taking their TV rights to market. And a year later, the Big 12 jumped in front, got a pretty good deal, and so you have to wonder where the Pac-12 is, because the only reason why this thing is still going is because the Pac-12 could have not really liked the numbers that they're seeing. And remember, this also happened a few days after UCLA and USC jumped. So my guess is the anticipation that they had of what the market would bear without UCLA and USC isn't close to what the market was going to bear without UCLA and USC.
All right, would Arizona move without Arizona State?
I also find that hard to believe. We obviously have seen Oklahoma move without Oklahoma State. We've seen Texas A&M move without Texas. So, you do have a situation where schools are tethered together. But I think everybody's looking out for their best interest. And, not to say that Arizona State isn't involved in these discussions, but when I hear Brett Yormark say we'd like to be at 14, and then knowing kind of behind the scenes some of these ongoing conversations that he's had, those are definitely the two most prevalent teams that he's spoken with, Colorado and Arizona.
Ari Temkins with a Sirius XM Big 12 Radio. Not that this necessarily matters entirely, but would the Big 12 welcome Colorado back after they sort of, for lack of a better phrase, Ari, shunned the league when they left for the Pac-12 a decade ago?
Right. Not only that, but, they've been beyond irrelevant in the national landscape since leaving the Big 12 when they were pretty consistent contender. Rashaan Salam and Heisman Trophy winners and competing for national championships. It's hard to believe that that's the same Colorado program that was doing that for multiple decades. And look, so there is an element here from the Big 12's perspective. It's like, why would we want Colorado back? What's the value that they provide? How good of a program are they from a football perspective? Obviously, there's more eyeballs in Colorado football right now than there's been in a long time because of Deion Sanders. But you're not hiring, you're not having a team change conferences for one football coach, right? This is about, long-term plans. This is about, having the best athletic departments that you could possibly have. I think it's obvious that Yormark's main concern, even though he's talking about culture and fit, is more about accumulating as many teams, as many athletic departments across the country that are on that Power 5 level. I think that's why you have a pause when it comes to UConn. I think that's why you have a pause when it comes to San Diego State or anybody else that might be in that conversation. And so that's, when it comes to fit or culture, those things, those buzzwords that we hear so often, I think really what it's talking about is, are you currently a Power 5 school? The answer is yes, and we would like you in the Big 12. It is a power in numbers, strength in numbers type proposition here.
So again, outside looking in, what I kind of hear, again, knowing nothing, is, okay, well, Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah, 4, which would get you to 16, and you'd match the SEC and what the Big 10 is going to do. Why not that scenario to get to 16?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, Matt, that's best case scenario given, BYU and the fact that the Big 12 is losing rivalries, right? Oklahoma State's going to be gone. Texas, Oklahoma is going to be gone. Obviously, Texas A&M is already gone. You do still have Kansas State, Iowa State. But, I mean, for the most part, Baylor, Texas Tech, none of these are household. This is not LSU, Alabama. This is not Auburn, Alabama. This is not Georgia. You know what I mean? Like, these are not big-time rivalries that people want to tune into on a national level. BYU, Utah has the Holy War. I mean, obviously, it means a lot less from a national perspective as it does in the state of Utah, but that would be a huge, important dance partner. I think anything that I've heard about, the involvement of Utah, it doesn't seem like there's been much dialogue there. Like, Utah's not really interested in it, which surprises me. Look, I mean, I'm curious what administrators within Pac-12 schools have heard about the TV deal. We've had countless deadlines that have not been met. I think it's clear as this thing continues to play out that, like, the numbers that they're getting back aren't close to the numbers that they anticipated, and they're running out of runway here to continue to leverage it. And so you would hope and imagine, if you're a Pac-12 school right now, that you're looking for your best landing spot. And if, let's just say, Colorado and Arizona want to sneak out the front door, do we have other schools that are having some of these back channel discussions like in Arizona State or Utah? That certainly makes the most sense to me. But from what I've gathered, there's been minimal conversations with Utah.
Interesting. You and I talked maybe a year ago or so, maybe a little more than a year ago, and I asked you a question, and it was something along the lines of, when I did a reset that you're from Sirius XM Big 12 Radio, I said, is there going to be a Big 12 radio? And I mean, I remember your reaction was kind of, man, I hope so, but there was really no sense in that the Big 12 was going to survive Texas and Oklahoma leaving. It's completely flipped on its head now, where the Big 12 feels like it has found stable ground, and the Pac-12 is where the earth is moving under its feet. Is it safe to say that the Big 12 has survived this round of realignment and is on stable footing, even with losing Texas and Oklahoma?
It is certainly fair to say that. It is certainly as stable ground as it could possibly be, but it's not very stable. I think you still have schools that, if they got the opportunity, would leave and bolt for the Big Ten of the SEC right away, and I don't think that changes. The only changes with involvement and want from those programs, from those conferences. So, I mean, look, I think you've got a few things at play here. Number one, there's the Carlito's Way side of this, and that is, if I'm sure you've seen Carlito's Way, but spoiler alert, the movie came out 30 years ago. Sorry, Al Pacino dies at the end.
I didn't see it. I have no idea what it is. So so I'm dead serious.
At any rate,
but go ahead.
At any rate, Al Pacino's the big gangster. He's Carlito, and he's got a chance to take out John Leguizamo's character early on, who's an up-and-coming gangster, and he doesn't. He lets him live, but he shouldn't have. And at the end, it's John Leguizamo's character that ends up killing Al Pacino. That's what's played out here between the Pac-12 and the Big 12. The Pac-12 had an opportunity to end the Big 12, but they didn't because of hubris. They didn't because of their own egos, because the Big 12 schools were not good enough for them. And that, whether overt or not, that was the sentiment. And when it looked like Big 12 schools needed a lifeline, none of them were there. When Oklahoma and Texas bolted, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Baylor, Tech, they were signed, sealed, and delivered to the Pac-12. The Pac-12 just didn't. Hubris. And so what's happened is the Big 12 was able to withstand that blow by adding the 4 schools they added. And then, of course, the part that was certainly a move corresponding to Texas and OU bolting, which was USC and UCLA leaving, which put the Pac-12 in a situation where they were not prepared for. The other part to this, too, is the Big 12 is very prepared for this. The Big 12 is way more prepared for this than the ACC and the Pac-12 were because the last 15 to 20 years where they have already gone through this. So, what the Pac-12 and the ACC are now dealing with, I mean, they're in their infancy of dealing with this, and we're teenagers now in terms of understanding how to manage and maneuver this type of a situation. So I just think the Big 12, through being kind of on the chopping block over the last 2 decades, has learned a lot, and that has aided in its strength right now. And without a doubt, it's the top, non-SEC Big Ten conference because, I mean, you could see this coming, Matt. I mean, when you do the basic math here, that Clemson is going to be making $36 million per year until 2036. I have an 8-year-old. He will graduate high school by the time that deal is up, okay? And meanwhile, Louisiana State and Alabama and Georgia and Mississippi State, they're going to be making $100 million per year in television revenue. Every year, Clemson, against its biggest competitors, is going to take a more than 2-to-1 loss on television revenue? No freaking way. So what we've now seen play out with the ACC is teams are trying to get out, but they can't.
Yeah.
And so the Pac-12 and the ACC are in a very precarious situation because of that.
You hate to see it, Ari. I tell you, you hate to see it with Clemson and the ACC. You just hate to see them just struggling all the way through 2036. Big 12 Media Days next week, man. Jumping the gun. I tell you, just trying to get ahead of the SEC, right? I mean, just trying to one-up everybody. Say, we're going to do it first. We're first. Little Brett Yormark out there getting stuff done. Hey, man, I appreciate the time of the visit as always. We'll no doubt have a chance to visit again soon before the season starts. Thanks, man.
Yeah, you gotta try to steal some of those headlines from the SEC and the Big Ten. Be well, brother. We'll talk soon. Take care.
That's Ari Temken from SiriusXM Big 12 Radio. Credit Brett Yormark. Ari's right. Like, there is something to be said for being battle tested, right? When you're the Big 12 and you have been pillaged and poached for more than a decade, you've been through it. You watched Nebraska leave, and you watched Texas A&M and Missouri leave, and you watched Colorado leave, and you just you've been through it. You added West Virginia, you added TCU, now you got the 4 little guys who fancy themselves as big guys, and you just keep surviving. There's something to be said. Okay, it's After Further Review. Brought to you by Traction, TractionSports.com, where champions are made. Hey, remember, start next week, Traction baseball camps start up again. No baseball camps this week because of 4th of July, but if your son, 5 and up, wants to participate in Traction baseball camps, or you just want to get your son out of your hair for a week during the summer, full and half-day options. You get the full schedule for a camp day all throughout the week at the website, TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Remember also, no matter what sport your son or daughter plays, Traction has memberships where it's small group sport-specific training, and you can get unlimited sessions over the course of a month for a very affordable fee. And this is, again, sport-specific. If it's lacrosse or volleyball, track and field, football, baseball, it's incredible. Any sport where champions are made, it's Traction. Go to TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Okay, quick break. Muso will do Tigers in the Pros when we come back. Still a ton of football that we got to get to. And Nate Ackenhausen in 30 minutes from right now. What's LSU's big lefty looking to do with the draft this weekend? Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001. You know, I tell you every day, nights, holidays, weekends, they'll always come out. They'll never charge you extra to do so. Our ops manager, Chris Elliott, had this happen. AC went out on the 4th of July, had a technician from River City's 1 Hour Air at his house at 6:30 p.m. on the 4th of July, getting their AC back up and running. They'll do the same for you. 752-0001. Here's a 5-star Google review from Becky P., who said, "It's so nice to see that customer service still exists. I called within the hour. A very professional young man showed up to help solve the issue, was informative on what we could do to keep our $19.99 AC going. Also, told us about all the options for future service. Thank you for a fast response in this heat." It's not just people that work here. It's everybody. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. The fallout was swift following a WBRZ investigative unit report that showed 2 children alleged they were molested by a Livingston Parish Sheriff's deputy. Community advocates and those fighting for justice are demanding that an outside authority like a federal agency come in and investigate. Hear why they say what happened in this latest case isn't a coincidence. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up and down on my last dime. Come on, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Wrapping up hour number 2, Muso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
All right, last night, Reds beat the Nats 9-2. Jake Fraley, 2 for 4 in that ball game. Couple singles, drove in a run to just extend his team lead in the RBI. Now at 51, Jake Fraley coming up on the unofficial halfway point at the All-Star break. They've passed the halfway point of the season. Also scored 2 runs in that game, drew a couple walks. He was all over the base paths. Fraley not in the lineup today, getting the day off as the Reds face the Cubs. My headphones are shorting out really bad right there. Sorry. Okay, minor league baseball. Jacob Berry starting to heat up a little bit.
Jacob Berry.
3 for 5 last night with 3 doubles. That gives him 17 on the season now to go along with 2 RBI in that ball game. Cole Henry continues to come back from injury. Got the start last night for the Harrisburg Senators. 2 innings, 1 hit, no runs, walked 1 and struck out 3. And then you find Hunter Fiducia, who just continues the tear that he's on. 2 for 4 last night, a couple singles for him, drove in a run and drew a walk. The average back up over 300 at 309. The U.S. Women's Open is underway today. Madeline Sackstrom just out onto the course through 2 holes, but sitting at 1 under par, currently tied for 10th in that event. That is 3 shots off that lead. And then Ben Taylor at the John Deere earlier today shot 4 over. Has some work to do tomorrow if he wants to make the weekend. That is Tigers and Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com. That's LMFJ.com. For Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, gentlemen, if you are thinking of popping the question, remember, they have a great selection of engagement rings, but custom rings are available. If you don't see exactly what you're looking for at Lee Michaels, they'll work with you to build the ring of your dreams within your budget. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Shreveport, Lafayette. Shout out 337. LMFJ.com. Hour number 3 is next.
AFR.
Love telling you about South Point Volkswagen at southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. And, of course, for all of our Lafayette folks, Southwest Volkswagen, same ownership group. You just got your own VW dealership right there in the 337 where you will always get 2 years free maintenance on new vehicles from South Point Volkswagen. Also, remember, they have the largest inventory of certified pre-owned vehicles of Volkswagens in the state, and the largest that they've had in a year. A great selection of Atlas Cross Sports, Tiguan's. Great selection, great prices. So if you're looking for a new or certified pre-owned, make sure you're shopping Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, where the 2024s are on the way, and you can reserve your vehicle that's in transit before it ever gets to the lot. Do it right now at southpointvw.com. southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports the Trailblazers are matching Matisse Thybulle's 3-year, $33 million offer sheet from the Mavericks. It took less than an hour for Portland to match that deal. Woj also reports the agent for Damian Lillard appears to be discouraging teams other than Miami from making trade offers for his client. But our Brian Windhorst says other teams could still make a run at Lillard.
I think Philadelphia can make a compelling offer. They can trade James Harden, potentially pick up some assets there, add Tyrese Maxey to the package, and I'm not sure that you can do better.
Brian Windhorst. Second-round winners at Wimbledon today include Americans Francis Tiafoe and Tommy Paul, and England's Liam Brody, who knocks out the 4-seed Casper Ruud. Women's winners include Americans Jessica Pegula and Sophia Kenin. Shiyu Lin at 4 under par, the first-round leader by 1 shot right now at the U.S. Women's Open at Pebble Beach.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, man!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Musu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. As always, shout out to our friends at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey and Lafayette. Online, theantiagingclinics.com. Nate Ackenhausen in 13 minutes. The Tiger lefty will be with us. We'll talk about his season, how he's celebrating the championship, and how he plans to take in the draft this coming weekend. That's coming up here in just a few minutes. But next week, of course, Media Days begins with the Big 12. The week after that, we will be in Nashville for SEC football Media Days when talking season begins. But right now, it is list season. And you know what that means.
And now it's time for Feigned Indignance from Sports Talk Radio Guy over random summertime sports lists.
Well, it happened again, Muse.
Of course it did, Matt. It's July.
Perusing the interwebs. Trying to gorge on college football content. Just trying to read about my favorite team, the Tigers. And although they're my favorite team, Muse, you know I can be completely objective.
Yes.
Ask Ed Ogeron. Is that too soon?
No.
Not too soon.
How would it be too soon?
Is it too soon for Titanic jokes? I don't know.
That happened in 1912.
Some things are never okay. But, Muse, here we are. Perusing the internet.
Yeah.
And I see a list over at Pro Football Focus.
Hey, they do some good work.
Top 10 receiving corps in the country for college football this year. Hey, Muse, I want to ask you a question.
What's up?
Who's the best receiver in the NFL right now?
Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, where did he go to school?
LSU.
Who's the second best receiver in the NFL? Maybe even the best receiver in the NFL.
Jamar Chase?
Yeah, where did he go to school?
LSU.
Yeah. Who's got more receivers in the NFL than any other school in America?
LSU.
I actually don't know if that's a fact, but let's just assume it is.
Yeah, why not?
It's close if it's not.
I mean, Russell Gage, he's there doing good things.
Yeah.
Terrace Marshall. Odell.
Heard of him.
Yeah.
Jarvis.
No.
Even dudes like James Wright, who didn't catch a pass, still gets drafted. Why? Wide receiver you.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, you'd think, just start this list with LSU.
Got to be high up there.
Nope, Ohio State number 1.
What?
I mean, who made this list? A Saints front office member?
Probably.
You'd have to think so. You're going to put Ohio State at number 1.
Marvin Harrison's got New Orleans Saint written all over him.
I mean, what? Just because his dad played in the NFL,
Yeah,
you're going to put Ohio
good.
State number 1 wide receiver group?
It makes him good. That's how it happens.
That's unbelievable that they would get. Then they got some other guy who can't even pronounce his last name. No one even knows how to say his name.
Oh, the dude, Double E. I just like to call him Double E.
Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, Double E.
You know what they should call him? Emeka Egpupa is what they should call him.
He's not
Because
good.
he stinks.
He's bad.
He's poop is what it is. But anyway, because they got a Saints front office guy working for Pro Football Focus, Ohio State's number 1. So naturally, LSU would be number 2, right?
Yeah, they have to be.
Nope.
What?
I'll give you a hint who's number 2, Muse. We're back.
Oh, what?
Come on.
They don't even have receivers at Texas.
I mean, could you be any more obvious with your bias here? Texas. Let's just pacify the giant undergrad and the fan base that's going to subscribe to all of our stuff because we haven't won anything in forever. So naturally, we're just going to rate them high and everything because they're going to buy magazines and just gobble up everything for their feel good because once the games start, they're going to lose to everybody because that's what they always do.
Yeah. I mean, but they have that one guy, right? Xavier Worthy.
Heard of him.
Yeah.
You know
what
what?
else? No one else.
Xavier Worthy can't carry Malik Neighbors' jock strap. How about that?
Yeah, I'm here for that.
I mean, so you get past the 2 absolute laughers, and then you know what happens? Oh, Pro Football Focus, got to be the smartest guy in the room,
No, never try to outthink everybody.
Washington.
What?
Washington number 3.
Okay, so they have one good offensive season last year.
Michael Penix, lefty. Pac-12 don't play no defense. Pac-12 don't play no defense.
He's the quarterback. You can't bolster up a receiving room just because the quarterback's good.
I know they got a receiver named Rome. That's Rome. Sounds cool. Probably just wanted to write it. That's why he's up there. Hey, Muse, got a question for you.
All right.
Name me a Georgia wide receiver this year. Name one. Name one.
I really don't think I can.
Ladd McConkey.
Oh, I remember that guy.
Remember that guy?
Yeah, he was the one who caught all the wide open touchdown passes that Stetson Bennett threw.
Yeah, Ladd McConkey.
I remember him.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, Brock Bowers is a tight end.
But you know what? They write Georgia's receiving core starts with Brock Bowers.
But he's not a receiver.
He's not a receiver, he's a tight end.
That whole list is invalidated.
Completely invalidated. What a joke. Ladd McConkey.
They probably think Taysom Hill's a quarterback.
Marcus Roseme Jack Saint.
That's a real person?
Sounds like an herb or a spice.
Yeah.
Anyway, 4th best receiving group in the country according to Pro Football Focus because of, as they admit, it starts with a tight end.
That literally doesn't make any sense.
Losers, Pro Football Focus. Kick rocks, you dorks. They got Florida State at number 5. I mean, how much longer do we have to wait to see LSU pop up on this? I mean, they brought in Jaheim Bell from South Carolina. He stunk so bad he couldn't even play at South Carolina.
That's why the transfer portal exists.
Pitiful. Absolutely terrible. They brought in Keon Coleman from Michigan State.
Michigan State stinks.
Who?
Yeah.
Never even heard of it.
They don't even throw the ball. They run the ball all the time.
Johnny Wilson's the kid from Arizona State, the big 6'7" guy.
He's actually pretty good.
He's okay.
He's okay.
All right.
I'll give you Johnny Wilson. That's it.
Whatever. Florida State.
They're going to find out in September. Don't worry.
Hey, Muse, do you remember who won the Biletnikoff shoe years ago?
Give me a minute. Hold on.
He won it at Pitt.
Oh, yeah, Jordan Addison.
Yeah, and then where did he go to play?
He went to USC.
Yeah, what's he doing now?
He stunk. He got drafted, but he stunk.
Yeah, he stunk.
He slipped down boards.
He's gone.
Yeah.
So naturally,
don't tell me.
Naturally, guess who's going to be there? Number 6 on the list.
USC?
They ding USC all the way down to 6
They
because
lost
Jordan
their best
Addison's
guy.
gone. Got nobody left.
Golly.
Taj Washington.
Never heard of
Pitiful.
him.
Absolutely atrocious. I'm going to tell you. I mean, Dorian Singer's there. He's a former walk-on. I tell you what.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, I don't know how often you want to just sit here and continue to show your bias for the name brands and not actually do the work. Pro Football Focus.
I mean, for at least one more list.
It's got to be LSU next, right? We've gone through 6.
We're on number 7.
You got Malik Neighbors.
They're going to be a top
Brian
10
Thomas,
team preseason.
You
Probably
bring in
top
Aaron Anderson,
5.
top 5 team. Returning. You want to talk about tight ends? Mason Taylor.
Mason
I mean, it's got to be
Taylor?
LSU now, right?
Yeah.
No. Oregon.
What?
All that is, you want to know what that is?
What's that?
Nike money.
Yeah, that's Phil
Knight.
Knight.
Knight's funding the whole thing. That's all this is. Absolutely atrocious.
God. Oregon.
Bo Nix throwing passes.
I mean, you're not even going to get to see the receivers. They're all going to go to the cornerback.
Finally, we get to LSU at number 8.
That's just absurd.
I mean, you mean to tell me you wouldn't take Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Aaron Anderson, that big crop of players? You want to throw in
Shelton Sampson,
Jalen Brown.
You got Chris Hilton coming back off injury.
Chris Hilton coming back off injury.
Since we're throwing tight ends in there, Mason Taylor.
Already said him.
Yeah.
Kyron Lacey.
Oh, that
ready
guy.
for a big breakout year. Nah. Let's give it to the Nike school and the overrated team that hadn't won anything in 2 decades.
Yep.
Joke.
I expected better from Pro Football Focus.
A&M 9, Alabama 10. At least they got one thing right. They buried the Aggies.
Yeah.
The Maggies.
Yeah, they're not good.
And the Crimson Tide. You name me one Alabama receiver.
Williams still there? Is Jamison Williams still there?
He hadn't been there. He wasn't there last year, Muse.
I thought he was.
He hurt his knee in the national championship game.
Yeah,
He's with the Lions.
Right, he's with the Lions. Then no, I can't. Which
Yeah.
is well, no, wait. Is JoJo Earl still there?
Probably.
JoJo Earl.
No, I think he transferred too.
Did he?
Probably.
Oh, darn.
Let's just go with that.
I think he did transfer, actually.
I think he did transfer. See, this is the point. What a joke. Yeah, JoJo Earl's at TCU.
Yeah. Then no, I don't have any, I don't have one for
Just
you.
put
there.
them on there. You want to know why?
Because they're Alabama.
Naturally. Do better, Pro Football Focus. You're a joke. Let's talk to Nate Ackenhausen next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. And by the way, shout out, Rouse's, the newest store, is coming up on West Main Street in Houma, Louisiana. Opening soon, and they are now hiring for all supermarket positions. So if you're listening to us down in Houma, y'all get on by West Main Street. Check out the newest Rouse's that's coming up. They are hiring today. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. 4th of July in the rearview mirror, but we still got summer staring us straight in the face. So you want to get outside, enjoy the pool with some Capri Suns for the kids, some soft drinks or some ice cold beer for the adults. Rouse's has got you covered. You want something great to throw on the grill for that summer Saturday barbecue? Rouse's has all of your meats for you. Something sweet, get on by the bakery. Whatever it is you're looking for, they got it at Rouse's. Helping you make groceries for more than 100 years. It's Rouse's. Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Infield playing straight up to the right-hander, and a swing and a miss, and Ackenhausen records punch-out number 5. Good start here in the bottom of the 5th inning, 1 away.
5 of what would end up being 7 strikeouts against Tennessee to stave off elimination, a performance that none of us will soon forget that follow LSU baseball. LSU lefty Nate Ackenhausen saved the season with a 6-inning outing and an elimination game against Tennessee and allowed the Tigers the opportunity to beat Wake Forest in back-to-back nights. Now awaits what's next for him in his future. Nate Ackenhausen, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Hey, man, thanks for the time. How are you?
No problem. Thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty good. Got home, I think, 3 days ago. You know, just had a dentist appointment today, had a haircut yesterday, so I've just been chilling.
Wait, hold on. A dentist appointment and then a haircut? Is the flow completely gone?
No. We keep the flow. I'm going to keep that forever, hopefully.
Wait, forever? I mean, you're talking to a boy like who is completely bald. So, I mean, does male pattern baldness run in your family? Or
not bald, so I think I'm good. It might not grow as long, I guess, when I get older, but no balding.
Fair enough, man. Hey, we talked to Jay earlier this week, and we actually talked to Riley Cooper as well, talking to a lot of guys. I just would love to know, man, you've had now a week plus to kind of let the championship run sink in. And what kind of goes through your mind when you think about it, as you kind of reflect on it?
It feels good. You know, one of the big reasons I committed to LSU was because I knew we had a good shot at making it to Omaha and winning a national championship, and that's something I thought was so cool. So, you know, after doing it and all that, it's one of those things where just day by day you keep thinking, like, oh, I really left a legacy there, so I'll always be remembered, and that team will always be remembered.
I mean, for everything that you did throughout the course of the season, and, you know, Jay mentioned it so often, you know, that they didn't lose a game that you pitched in. obviously the final championship one, but 17 outings. But that outing against Tennessee, man, is something that people here will talk about forever. Have you been reminded of that? Have you thought about that, the legacy you created with that outing?
Yeah, it's kind of like anyone I see that knows me, they always bring up that one outing, and it's just something that it's cool that no one will ever forget about it. But it was just another game for me. It wasn't really anything special. I knew it was an elimination game and it was a big game, but I kind of just took it like how I'd take any other game.
Yeah, but you went 6 innings that day, and to that point, your longest outing had been 3 2/3. Did you wake up just feeling good that day? Like, did you? Are there? I'm sure for pitchers, there's days where you wake up, you go to the yard when you're throwing your pregame bullpen, like where you just feel good. When did you know you felt it that day?
No, I'm gonna be honest. I think the first day we got down there, I threw a bullpen, and then I got hot game 1, and then I think I threw another bullpen because we had practice the next day, and then I think I got hot again for game 2, and then I heard I was starting, so I'm already like probably, I don't know, 80 pitches in between those 4 days, and then I get to the field and I just start playing catch, and I wasn't tight or anything. Nothing was hurting. It was just kind of like soreness, and I was just like, all right, we're gonna let it ride, and I think the adrenaline got to me, and I think I ended with 93 pitches, but I definitely could have went over to 110 or probably more.
It's incredible, man. Adrenaline is a crazy thing. Nate Ackenhausen is our guest here. Man, the other fun thing about this whole championship run is when you're in Omaha for that long, and they continue to look for storylines like you and Riley and Cade and Tommy White. It was like, the long hair, the big beards, the big dudes, like became this sort of fad thing, man. Like, has that, like, I'm sure you all saw that. What were your reactions when you saw all of that going on while y'all were in Omaha?
We just all laughed about it. We all would send, like, we'd see memes on Twitter and stuff, and we would screenshot them or send it to each other, and we just laugh about it. So it was just a good time.
Nate Ackenhausen is with us here for a couple of minutes. Look, you're obviously, you mentioned you're back home, and we all know you're draft eligible. Like, what are your plans for this weekend, man? Like, how closely are you going to follow the draft?
I try to just chill around with my family, hang out, talk to friends I haven't talked to in a while, and we'll just see how the draft goes. I plan on going to play golf maybe tomorrow. It's supposed to rain for like the next week here in Oklahoma, so you got to find a window, but really just have fun.
Man, we talked to Riley on Monday, and he said he wants to start his pro career, and if he gets drafted, he plans to sign. Like, what are those conversations like with your family right now? Like, best case, what would you like to do?
I've just been talking to my family, and pro has always been a dream of mine, but I still have one more year left, so I still have that leverage to use in the draft. And if it's just not the right team, or I don't feel the right thing, then I'm always welcome back to be a Tiger. So we'll just see. Would you
like the opportunity, like, to come back to school and have a chance to defend the title?
Oh, 100%. It's never off the mind. So we'll just see. God has a plan.
If you did come back to school, would you like the opportunity to maybe work your way into the rotation, or do you see yourself as a bullpen arm?
I've always enjoyed starting more than relieving, but it's just one of those things where the coaches have meetings, and we had talks all year about me starting, and it just wasn't the right time, and it just worked out to be in Omaha, the biggest stage where everybody's watching. So I'm always thankful for that, and I'm happy it all worked out.
Yeah. Thoughts on, have you gotten to meet or talk to Nate Yeskie, the new pitching coach?
Yeah, on my way home, I drove home. He actually called me, and we had a little brief talking. Seems like a really, really nice dude, and I know he likes left-handed pitching, so that's a good thing.
Obviously he's got a great history with Jay Johnson, but a year with Wes Johnson. What did that year with Wes Johnson mean for you?
Oh, it just opened plenty of more doors, like seeing what, he was in the big leagues, at the highest level. So him bringing stuff from that level down to us, it was really cool. And, you just learn new things. And I went to a junior college, and we had TrackMan, I think. But, we got so much more at LSU. And just like to know what every pitch is doing, the movement, is it riding, is it dropping, all that. It was just cool to see. And then, of course, getting scouting reports.
Hey, before you go, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this at all. You mentioned you'd follow like the memes and all the different stuff online. Have you seen the comparisons between you and former LSU football player Will Blackwell?
I've seen a couple things about it.
All right, so I got to ask. So Will's a friend, and he's been a real good friend of the show for a lot of years. I got to know your thoughts. Like, do you see the comp? Like, do you see the similarities?
I see a little bit. I think the black hair and the beard is really the big factors.
Ah, man, like there's a lot of dudes with black hair and beard, man. You guys have such a striking similarity. Did you play football at any point in your life?
High school. I played it my whole life until my sophomore year, and same with basketball. And I just dropped both because baseball, like my high school is a big powerhouse in baseball, and I found a love for it more than the other two sports. So I kind of just stuck with baseball. But yeah, I think they ended up winning 2 state championships in football.
Very cool.
And I quitting. So
I had to ask because I know Will was tweeting about it all during he's a big baseball fan who's tweeting about it all during the College World Series. He was an All-American at LSU. Like he was a great interior lineman, a great football player during his time here. So I had to ask, man. Hey, look, we're going to follow the draft this weekend. We wish you all the luck, man. And whatever happens, we hope it just happens for the best for you and for your family. Congrats on the national championship, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
It's our pleasure. That is Nate Ackenhausen, a guy whose his legacy in LSU baseball is secured with the outing he had against Tennessee. And how about that? Said he might want to come back and have a chance at starting next year. I do have a quick thought on that I'll get to. Let me remind you about Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows door siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Man, it is impossible to ignore if you are looking at your heating bill, or your cooling bill, I should say, your energy bill, with this heat outside. Chances are you've seen it skyrocket. A big reason is if you have costly air leaks, your AC is working overtime to keep your home, your office, whatever it may be, cool. Install energy-efficient replacement windows from Relief Windows. Could not recommend this highly enough. We did it at our house. You will lower your energy bills, and it's incredible. I mean, in time, these energy-efficient replacement windows will pay for themselves. They're going to make your home more energy efficient. It's going to lower your energy bills. It's going to increase your home's resale value. And these windows come with a lifetime transferable warranty. So when you go to sell your home, that warranty transfers to the next homeowner, which makes your home even more desirable when you go to sell it. It's Relief Windows. Windows door siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Ackenhausen there talked about, so not sure draft plans yet. If the situation's right, he'll sign. If not, welcomes the opportunity to come back. That's a different approach than what Riley Cooper said, which was that he's ready to start his pro career. And if he gets drafted, he's going to sign and go start his pro career. So different guys come from a different space. But, for LSU, the possibility of bringing Ackenhausen back as a starter has got to be appealing. He showed you he's capable, clearly. And to have a guy with that kind of experience back next year as an option would be significant. Thatcher Hurd will be at the front of your rotation, but when you look at options that you may have after this draft, you may have Ackenhausen. You may have Blake Money. You may have Christian Little. Probably not with those guys, but you may. You may have Grant Taylor. Maybe not. You brought in Justin Lohr, the Xavier transfer, who could start or could pitch out of the pen. You may have those guys. But it's providing you a lot of options. And then just like this year, you let those guys compete, and a lot of times it works out the way it should. Remember, the opening week of the season this last year, your rotation, you had Skeens on Friday, you had Riley Cooper on Saturday, and then you had Chase Shores on Sunday. We all know Chase Shores, unfortunately, was injured, and Cooper became a bullpen arm for you. The only thing that stayed consistent was Skeens. So you bring in all those options, all those arms, and you let the competition play out the way that it will. Be great for LSU if they get Ackenhausen back. We'll see how that may go with the draft this weekend. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you aboard with us here. Let me knock out a quick break. There's still a couple of football things I want to make sure we get to here before we get out of here. Otterlocks in about 15 minutes, but there was a really interesting piece about Derek Carr that I want to get to, and we did talk about Jordan Reed at ESPN, his mock draft for 2024. We talked about it from the Saints' perspective. He did have an LSU Tiger going in round 1 that I'd like to talk about. We'll get to that. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. I tell you every day, buy local, shop local. Go see our friends at Clegg's Nursery. So no matter where you are, Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham. You go into Denham, you exit Denham, you make a left right there, go across, you cross Florida. It's on your left. You can't miss it. It's not another garden center within a 5-mile radius of that one there in Denham. Mid-City on Donmore. You turn off of Florida onto Donmore. It's right there on the right. And then the garden center on Greenwell Springs. If you're in Central heading toward downtown, as soon as you leave Central, it's immediately on your right. You can't miss it. It's Clegg's Nursery. They're partnered with True Value Hardware Store. So everything you'd find at a True Value Hardware Store, you'll also find at Clegg's Nursery. So maybe you're checking off those honeydews at home, bypass the big box store, shop at a great locally owned business that's been locally owned and operated for more than 60 years serving our community. That's Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local, and tell them Matt sent you in at Clegg's Nursery.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Hutco Roofing brings you live coverage of the 2023 SEC Football Media Days. Join us Monday, July 17th through Thursday, July 20th as we take you inside college football's premier conference. It's the 2023 SEC Football Media Days, heard exclusively on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and brought to you by Hutco Roofing.
Excited about it. A week from Monday, we'll be there in Nashville at SEC Football Media Days. Of course, we appreciate our partners at Hudco Roofing for sponsoring our coverage from SEC Football Media Days. Boots on the ground all throughout Louisiana during this awful weather during the summer months. If you have a roof issue, need a roof repair, roof replacement, do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. So Jordan Reed over at ESPN.com released a way too early mock draft. It's odd to pick the beginning of July to release a mock draft, but why not? And there was one LSU Tiger that he had in his first round for the 2024 NFL Draft. I think most people's assumption with that it would be Malik Neighbors. Malik had a great season as LSU's leading receiver a year ago as a 1,000-yard receiver. We have seen an emphasis put on the receiving position again in the NFL after it had been devalued for some time in the draft. But it's not Malik Neighbors. He's got Mason Smith going 14 overall to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The write-up reads just very quickly, the Steelers don't have many glaring weaknesses in their starting lineup, but they might be looking for succession plans in multiple areas at draft time next year. They value defensive line depth, and Smith brings high-end traits. There are big expectations for the 6'5", 310-pound interior defender to rebound after he tore his left ACL in the season opener last season. When healthy, Smith is agile and disruptive, and he can be moved around on the first level. So, Mason Smith at 14. Boy, he maps like Brian Brzee. We've made that comp a lot, but, of course, Brzee was Mason Smith. He was the number one defensive lineman, some instances number one player in the country. Coming out of high school, goes to Clemson. Banged up a little his first year, misses all of his second year. Played sparingly in his third year due to a family tragedy with the death of his sister. But the skill set, the athleticism, the size, the ability is intoxicating. And it's the same with Mason Smith. Do you realize that Mason Smith has played in 10 career games? 10, that's it. He's played in 10 games. He's got 19 tackles. How good is Mason Smith? How good is Mason Smith? Over 2 years, he's played in 10 games with 19 total tackles. And he's projected to be the 14th pick of the draft. He is worthy of the hype. All of it is there. The size, the speed, the agility, the athleticism, all of it, the technique, it is there. We have been talking about Mason Smith now for 4 years, since he was a sophomore in high school, a rising junior. We've been talking about this kid. And when he played as a freshman, when he was on the field, he made 4 starts. He had 13 tackles, 5 TFLs, and 4 sacks. He was a disruptive monster when he was on the field. And then last year, we know what happened. He played in 1 game. First defensive series, tore his ACL. Man, if Mason Smith can stay healthy over a 12-game regular season, and we can see what that actually looks like, it could be special and would be worthy of a top half of round 1 pick. Now, of course, Malik Neighbors is another name people will look at. What's interesting about this mock draft is there's only 4 wide receivers projected in round 1. Marvin Harrison going number 2 overall. Emeka Ibuka, his teammate at Ohio State, going 11 to the Chicago Bears. Rome Odunze from Washington, 15 overall to the Giants. And then the last pick of round 1, Xavier Worthy from Texas going 32 to the Chiefs. That's it. So as there has been more emphasis put on premier wide receivers, and teams have now shied away from drafting running backs and are willing to take wide receivers and take wide receivers in round 1. Interesting that there are only 4 projected to go in round 1 in this draft, but with another big-time explosive year, Malik Neighbors could absolutely push himself into round 1. The only other player that I could really see maybe making a case, and again, I'm not projecting this, but I could make a case potentially, is Jaden Daniels. And, I mean, follow me here. You're talking about a guy with a skill set that matches what the NFL is looking for in quarterbacks now. And if in his 5th year he has a hockey stick acceleration, he could be Hendon Hooker. Jaden Daniels could be. I mean, he's a guy that is going to be surrounded by talent. He's a 5th-year player, 2nd year as a starter in the SEC. And for a lot of reasons, you could look at, say, man, you got your top 6 offensive linemen returning. You've got Malik Neighbors. You've got tons of receiving talent around there. You've got a bevy of backs. You're going to be able to lead this offense. 2nd year with Mike Denbrock calling plays. I mean, Jaden Daniels could have that type of season, and that's the conversation we were having about Hendon Hooker before he tore his ACL. I mean, there's absolutely reason to believe that Jaden Daniels could have a season like Hendon Hooker had, where you're in the top 5 in the country, you're pushing toward a playoff berth, you're the unquestioned leader of the team, all the stats and statistics and metrics are there. That's a possibility. I don't know that there's anybody defensively that we could be talking about in this coming draft for LSU outside of Mason Smith having that type of year that could be a first-rounder. Omar Spates, the transfer from Oregon State, he's just older. And I think that probably works against him. It makes him he's a 4-year starter at Oregon State. He's taking advantage of the COVID year. So this will be his 5th year. And he was a freshman All-America, and he was first-team All-Pac-12 this past year. So getting him, he's expected to be a super productive college player, but he started 39 games with 45 games played in his career. So by the time this year is done, he's going to be pushing near 60 games played. That's just an old rookie in the NFL when you've got that much tread worn off the tires. You look at the cornerbacks. I mean, the only draft-eligible guys are Chestnut and Zy Alexander. Maybe Deuce Chestnut has a monster year and he has 6 interceptions and not maybe. He was all-conference in the ACC last year at Syracuse. Maybe he could be that guy. It's hard to project that, though. At safety, Greg Brooks, Major Burns, neither of those guys are going to be first-rounders. So I think as you continue to look at this LSU team, what you're going to see is it really is an example where you have a lot of depth, you have a lot of experience, and you've got talent everywhere. What you don't have is the team that's going to have 4 or 5 first-round picks. That's super talented team. You're going to have a situation where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. But you've got a veteran, experienced team because you've supplemented well out of the transfer portal. So it is interesting to see this. Again, a lot changes over the course of a season, obviously. I mean, at this time a year ago, everybody had Kayshon Boutte as a consensus top 10 pick in the draft. He wound up going in round 6. So, yes, clearly, a lot can change when you go play out the course of a season. But, Mason Smith having played only 10 career games and being 14th overall in this mock draft is pretty telling about the feeling that people have of him as a prospect. And if you're looking at others to keep an eye on, Malik, Jaden Daniels, that's probably it as far as guys that have the opportunity to maybe have a blow-up season and push themselves into the first round of next spring's draft. Okay, it's After Further Review, brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Glad to have you aboard with us. We've covered a ton of ground here. Let me take just a quick moment to remind you about Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. I love telling you about their track system. TRAC is an acronym. Track, Records, Assets, and Calibrations, TRAC. And this allows you to have 24/7, 365 access to all of your calibration certificates. This is all about making you more efficient. Let's say you get audited. You have all of that information, boom, at your fingertips instantly, right down to the technician that calibrated your devices. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. They think of everything. By the way, that's a completely free service for all of their clients. Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. They specialize in weight, mass, force, torque, pressure, temperature, dimensional, electronic measurement equipment, and services. They'll service all scales and measurement equipment, even if you purchased it elsewhere. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Get to the website, Michelli.com, Michelli.com, with 31 different service stations across 11 different states. They're never far, including 6 in Louisiana. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Been a really good show. If you missed anything, you can catch it AFR On Demand. Thanks to Brad Crawford from 247 Sports, who was with us in hour number 1. Brian Sakowski from Perfect Game talking a little MLB draft. Ari Temken from SiriusXM Big 12 Radio was here in hour 2. Nate Ackenhausen was with us just about 30 minutes ago. So we appreciate all of our guests on the show today. As always, if you miss anything, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. All right, Otter Locks is coming up. We'll get you caught up on what we're betting on tonight when the Otter's with us here in just a few minutes. We appreciate you, as always, for hanging out. Tomorrow's show, we're going to be taking it on the road. We're going to be over at Pluckers on Bluebonnet. Excited to get over there. See our guy, Stevie Levy, the king of the wing. But mostly the reason we're going on the road is to help our buddy Sid Edwards, who's a longtime coach in the area, of course, and is taking on a new challenge at Estruma, a public school that has, in its heyday, was the home of Billy Cannon. Which certainly for resources and a lot of different things have fallen on tough times. And Sid Edwards is trying to breathe life into that community, into that program, into that football program again, and trying to work, organizing as awareness and fundraiser to help them get equipment and a lot of things they need just to get that program going again. So we're excited to be there tomorrow to help Coach Sid and all the kids at Estruma in advance of their season. So we'll be at Pluckers on Bluebonnet tomorrow. Hopefully y'all can come by and say hello. All right, let me knock out our final break of the show. We'll come back. We'll do Otter Locks, find out what we're betting on tonight. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon. Get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Hey, been telling you about this. The Gordon McKernan rally hats. The 8,888 Reasons to Rally hats. They're giving them away. Go to GordonGives.com. That's GordonGives.com. You know the story by now. College World Series, Rocco's Jello Shot Challenge. After LSU lost 24-4. Gordon went across the street to Rocco's, bought 8,888 rally shots to get pump some positivity back into Tiger Nation. And boy, did it work. Well, they decided to go ahead and print hats and shirts with 8888 on it. Of course, the phone number for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, 888-8888. People said, love it. Where can I get a hat? Well, Gordon said, we'll print them. We'll give them away. So go to GordonGives.com. That's GordonGives.com. And you'll see right there on the homepage where you can sign up for updates. Just go to GordonGives.com, put your name, all your information right there. And when they come in, you'll get you a rally hat. Get Gordon. Get it done.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
All right, down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR. We always appreciate our friends at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Blue Bonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffery in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Ott father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Good. We caught a little bit of a break last night because they rained out the Toronto White Sox game. Talked about Lance Lynn has given up the most home runs in Major League Baseball. Well, they're in the 8th inning, and he left his gas can at home today. He was on fire. 0-0 in the top of the 8th inning. So not to say they're going to lose, but we're glad we avoided the good Lance Lynn. It's baseball, man. You don't know what's going. He was on fire today.
Well, so. The Otter did give us last night the Phillies on the money line, which hit. Gave us the Padres on the money line, which also hit. And I did have someone text me, Otter, that if you remember, the Phillies game was live bet. Because
right,
when
plus 130.
It was plus 130, and someone texted me this morning that he won $550 on that last night. So he said, thank the Otter for me. So there you go. Not a bad night.
My mother, God bless her soul, she said, son, you can be just like Robin Hood. You can rob the rich and feed the poor, son. Okay.
I love it. All right, man, what are we looking at tonight?
Got two for you tonight. You and Musso are not going to improve, but here it is.
Right.
The Yankees have been showing some light. Been a little funky lately. You know, they really have. They've been competitive. But just watch the past few nights and winning 2 out of 3. Baltimore's the better team. A major pitching advantage tonight. You're well aware how Severino has been for most of the year. Bradish has been good. I think a better team. You know, granted, the Yankees have been playing better ball, but I like Baltimore a lot, both on the run line and the money line tonight.
Okay. Baltimore. And I'm guessing you're going. That would also mean then that you're going against Boston.
That is correct. We call him Cy Eovaldi. That's right. He leaves Boston. He turns into Cy Young. He is throwing BBs. I'm going to take Texas. The same thing. Split up your bet, you know, with the money line and the run line on that one as well. So 2 plays, you know, split them up with the run line and the money line. So we'd like to kind of neutralize the juice. Don't like to play too much juice, Bill.
All right. What else is going on, Otter? I heard y'all gave your consensus golf picks yesterday on the show as well. Any value still if people want to jump in late?
I haven't checked. I haven't watched real close
today.
You know, after 4 attempts, my son needed my assistance to go get his license from DMV. So, you know, I've been a little bit busy. Just can they just offer an elective for common sense to school? I mean, you know,
overrated, Otter. Overrated. Hey man, if you're going to be watching UFC 290, Volkanovski lock.
Okay, Volkanovski.
Well, he's minus 375, but he's a freaking lock.
Okay. Gotcha. It's hard. I'm a boxing guy. It's hard for me to embrace that. I understand the passion for it. I mean, sports books that show it are always packed.
Yeah.
Vegas, the coast, whatever. I mean, always packed. So, but I do know that sometimes I hear a lot of whining about some judges' decisions.
1 minute remaining.
It's no different than boxing or any sport that when you
don't
leave it
think
up.
so?
Hey man, it's why you never leave it up to the judges, man. Finish it. But yes, absolutely. That's a very, very, very common theme.
Next week, Annie is at the beach complaining about the sand, so I'm going to have a bunch of guests lined up. A lot of college and pro football future talk. A lot. Heavy. Next week for the All-Star break.
We'll look forward to it. Thanks, Otter.
See you, Matt.
All right, be well. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny, weekdays 11 to 1. So tomorrow's Friday. They'll be over at Rufino's. So get on by and see the guys for lunch tomorrow at Rufino's. All right, that's going to do it for us. Muse, Paulie, I appreciate it. Thanks to all our guests. Looking forward to tomorrow's show. We'll be live at Pluckers on Blue Bonnet. We hope to see y'all there. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawbillsTire.com, ShawbillsTire.com, where, especially if you're in the Baton Rouge market, they are highlighting right now so many amazing things going on at Shawbills. Their culture, the benefits that they offer all of their employees. Shawbills is hiring entry-level positions on the counter, the back. So listen, whether you have experience or not, they're looking for you. If you're looking for a career, not a job, a career in the auto service industry, Shawbills is a family-owned and operated company that's been that way for more than 50 years. Unmatched benefits. I mean, I know I say it often, but think of this not as a career and a paycheck. You want to be part of their family, working for a family-owned and operated business. Shawbills is looking for you, in particular in the Baton Rouge area. Of course, as always, if you're looking for tires, go where they'll sell you name brand tires at wholesale prices. Shawbills, we keep you rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m.